Welcome back, everybody, for our third game of the day, which will be Breakdown Gaming and Looking for Orc. That is a new name for the formerly artist known as Encore Esports. So this is going to be a huge game for Group A as well. So Breakdown sitting at 1-1. Encore, the only other team, or Looking for Org, the only other team sitting at 2-0 in Group A. But Ham, the way that Breakdown played last week, anything could happen.
Yeah, Breakdown, for those viewers who are just now joining us, they are kind of the Crusher 99 story. We've been fluffing that. They're a bunch
We
of
will
friends.
remind you every
Yes,
time.
every time.
Yeah, every time.
Breakdown, me and Boops, one of our favorite teams in this entire region. They came from Open Division because they want to win $10 and won Trials and now find themselves in Contenders. They lost a very unfortunate 0-4 match against BGH, but really brought it back in their next round to win that 4-0. So coming off of that last match, I believe this Breakdown team, what are the hallmarks of their great play? Synergy is incredible. The movement from Win 98, their Mercy, excellent. One of actually the only female player in South America. All in all, the whole team just seems to be connected to one giant hive mind computer. And their synergy, the peel, their ability to enable each other's plays has been, what the strongest part of their team so far. Not to mention just their DPS, Lubbock in particular, finding those heads. One of potentially the best widows in SA, we'll see. So as long as they maintain that aggression, that confidence, which should be, coming through off of their win last week, I think that they can really, really give Looking for Org a run for their money.
And the last time they played Looking for Org was in Trials, and this is actually another really awesome storyline with these two teams because we have a potential rivalry here, Panda, because Encore got second in Trials. Breakdown won Trials by 3 maps, and they 4-0'd Encore. So that head-to-head is why they won Trials. So we're looking at number 1 and 2 in Trials, and potentially number 2 and 3 in Group A as well. So Panda, what kind of things does Looking for Org need to do to handle Breakdown's DPS play?
I like Ham's point about the whole Brainiac play, how everybody's controlled by one hive mind behind Breakdown Gaming. And I'm going to go ahead and chalk this up and push it even further. It's like a Batman versus Brainiac kind of type deal right now. And
I like that.
especially with the 1 versus 2 coming out of Trials going into this, if you're taking a look at the standings right now, Looking for Org is just slightly ahead of Breakdown Gaming. So to the previous point, this is a huge matchup. And going forward off of that, where the momentum may be, we can only say, going off of the previous matches into a new patch as well, anything can happen. But what we do know for a fact as well for Looking for Org is that they are 2-0. So they're coming in with a strong head of steam behind strong tank play and a really good support line as well.
All right, let's get the map win-loss. Just that, no reasoning. Ham, who you got?
3-1 Breakdown.
Panda.
I'm going to go ahead and say a 4-0 on Looking for Org.
Ooh, I'm going to go 3-2 Breakdown. We're going to go ahead and throw it to the casters, which are Lemon and LaFon, the LLC Sound Company, LLC. And now they're going to take it away. We're going to go to Lijiang Tower.
Well, stamp it. We've already owned that copyright for a while, Kappa, but LaFon, this match is so good. We got second place Looking for Org, aka Encore, and third place Breakdown. I'm just so excited for this Lijiang Tower. I couldn't even give you a prediction even if I tried.
This is going to be the best match of the day, and it's saved for last. I am super excited. Lijiang Tower, it opens up. Gardens, it's all here. Let's get it going. Lemon, the fight's underway.
They were neck and neck in Trials, and they're neck and neck in Contenders. I am pumped. Shinigami on the Sparrow. He's been the one guiding Windows 98 on that Mercy. Already getting a pick, that's Looking for Org getting the first 2 picks. Godman on the opposing Pharah. Low Life, I've highlighted as one of, I think, the most talented tracers in South America. As Looking for Org move towards the point to get that capture, Lubok switches off that Widowmaker, I believe, and now goes to the Tracer.
And it's going to be Breakdown Gaming just losing that first fight initially. They don't really have the pressure required. The first 2 picks come out too quickly. And Looking for Org, they're able to stabilize and just take the point early on. Looking for Org now, they need to try and stabilize and hold on to their lead, though, as Breakdown Gaming walks in through White Room trying to take advantage here, Lemon.
Oh, you can see Lubak trying to come from behind. He's got the Zenyatta in his sights, too. That should be a free kill. And Searching, meanwhile, picks off Hugo. So not enough pressure here coming in from Looking for Org on all the angles they're trying to come from. The flip comes in for Breakdown Gaming.
Breakdown Gaming, they do flip it. The tanks are going to fall down. The barrage is going to come in right after it. It's cleanup and a lot of ultimates here. So though it was flipped over by Breakdown Gaming, they do end up losing that fight, but it's still a pretty positive scenario for them. They force a lot of ultimates out of looking for Org after flipping the point. So not exactly a wasted fight. You build percentage, you put yourself up in ult economy, and now walking in, Breakdown Gaming definitely should have the advantage in terms of who's coming online next in terms of ult economy.
Yes, Breakdown coming in towards the left side. Shinigami has a barrage, and he's going to be going in towards the point. We're looking at Lubak trying to flank these support players, and no Transcendence to worry about here as Lubak still chasing the supports, but the fight has now transcended towards the left side, where even Lukavi as the Mercy player getting in on all that action as looking for Org looks like they solidified the point.
And that's going to be a reset now. Looking for Org, they're clean and they engage really, really cleanly. The supports are able to peel for themselves. Lubak unable to find that kill. And now, Breakdown Gaming are a little bit up against the wall here. They have to, capture 30% remaining on this control point. They have to start turning it over in their favor. And Breakdown, not a lot of time to work with here as they try and walk in.
Shinigami has that barrage and the self-destruct also sent in from Dagostin, but he's not allowed to get back into mech. That was the pulse bomb from Lowlife, finding tons of success along with the zone performance in this match as the Resurrect from Windows 98 does top Breakdown back up, but they need to retake. It's 90% for looking for Org, and Shinigami has the barrage. Is it even needed? They lose their support player though, so he's not going to have the power boost from Windows 98 if he decides the barrage, but the cleanup crew is here and just in time for 99% for looking for Org.
Now, there's going to be a bit of a switch up. Hugo switches off the Zenyatta, so they did lose, of course, both supports in that last fight. Hugo switches off the Zen to the Lucio. Win98 still on that Mercy. Again, as you highlighted, Shinigami has the barrage, and that's going to have to be the win condition here as Godman picks up the kill. Hugo going down yet again, and that's a support kill that is going to be so massive as this fight continues.
And you just see Lowlife going after Windows 98 into the back, but there opens it up for a barrage from Godman, at least finding one, but an opposing barrage at least gets the same tank trade up than the other Pharah did, but it's a fight towards the point. You got Tracer from Lowlife putting tons of pressure. The cleanup is here, and Lowlife has been performing so well on this Tracer as Breakdown have to reset. Overtime dwindling away and looking for Org. One last chance comes in from Keith, who dives in but doesn't have a primal to keep this one going.
They're just going to straggle in and trickle in, and this is going to be Breakdown Gaming trying to just desperately find value, but again, Searchy has that Transcendence online. They don't even need to use it so far. It's just a reset after reset. The Transcendence will be committed here, and Breakdown Gaming are falling to a man. That is all that is left. Win98 gets back to the point, so they do keep the contest going, but it's going to be all for naught as Keith falls very, very swiftly. Win98 here, the only one left alive, and she just dashes out, dies before she can. And Lemon, as this fight continues going on, Breakdown nearly out.
It's almost over. We're not going to die of old age just yet. Finally, the map is done. 100 to 49 for our first point onto Gardens as we move on to the next map. But it's just, you see these teams neck and neck. Looking for Org Breakdown. We're neck and neck in Trials. Now they're neck and neck in the standings. Second for looking for Org. Third place for Breakdown, where we hope looking for Org will find success at finding a home, maybe getting into the playoffs, where they are comfortable currently having a playoff spot. But we will be going into Night Market, and let's take a look at these comps. LaFon, what do you like?
It's a bit of a strange one. Looking for Org, running that Ryan Zarya, and then Breakdown Gaming. It's a bit of a Win98 is going to switch to the Mercy pretty quickly. They're just getting the speed boost out of spawn here, but other than that, it's pretty stock from Breakdown Gaming. Looking for Org, a little bit more interesting of a composition. They're running Farah Hanzo, so looking for Org, trying to continue this one, close it out, and Keith just being chunked down. So dangerous here as Breakdown Gaming walk in, trying to find some zoning area here on Night Market.
Well, the issue is Lubak and Shinigami playing sort of those farther range DPS. How much pressure can they really put onto the point? Lubak has to take a distance. He does find a pick along with Shinigami. The second pick, Lubak takes out the supports as Breakdown Gaming get onto the point, and they need to make up for that loss back on. Oh, the boot. They need to make up for that loss back onto Gardens.
And that's going to be a reset now. Looking for Org to do a much worse job in terms of engaging and Breakdown Gaming just assassinate that backline. They do a great job of separating, looking for Org, and then they come in, use that range damage between Lubak and Shinigami. No real contest available, and Lowlife walks into that headshot. Lubak, a great shot early on. That they're going to force that Resurrect out, so already disadvantaged looking for Org as they walk into this next fight.
And we've talked about how talented Luwak is on the Widow. I'm not sure how comfortable he is on the Tracer because he handily lost that matchup to Low Life. But now on the Sniper matchup, I'm loving Luwak and the way he killed the supports in the last fight. Already baits out the Transcendence as Breakdown are just awaiting the push from Looking for Org. As the Infrasight comes out from Luwak, you're going to know exactly where Looking for Org they're going to engage from.
Searchy, you can't do that. Infrasight is online. The headshot, it's clean, it's clinical, and Shinigami zones out. That's going to be the support already gone down as Hugo gets the DMAC, and that's going to be so unfortunate here for Looking for Org is off the back of an Infrasight. If that's an ultimate, man, that's just used for scouting. You're not supposed to get kills from it. But that's as clean a kill as you can get from an Infrasight as there ever was one. And Searchy, they lose that first point. Low Life going to switch off the Hanzo to the Widowmaker, and Looking for Org, their composition is now basically a mirror of Breakdown Gaming. But Breakdown Gaming has the advantage. They had it first. They have the ultimates.
Oh, and they're ready to drop down, and Shinigami double kill takes out already 2 people. What is actually a 2-for-2 trade as everyone is falling off the map here for Looking for Org. It's 80%. It's a smart move to go for the reset, as this will be last fight territory for Looking for Org.
Yeah, Looking for Org, they have to have someone touch 90% here. They have basically nothing to work with. Just that barrage coming that's online as Mateo tries to jump into point, but gets booped off the point. Lemon, they keep this fight going, but they're already at a disadvantage.
They have to go in now. It's 99%, but somebody triggers the overtime as a barrage comes in from above, and that's from Godman. But Dagostim is there for the response. Breakdown are there as a team, as a core, and I've been worried about the amount of point pressure they can do with a Widow and a Pharah, but once they've been playing on defense, Luwak has been untouchable on this Widow. Shinigami outclassing the other Widowmaker of Godman, and we are going into a third map of Lijiang.
It's going to be the last stagger in. Godman off the Pharah to the Doomfist. They're going to get the DMAC here on Suara. And yeah, this is just absolute last-ditch effort. There's nothing they can do. Not a fight they can contest. And the self-destruct and celebration. Objective secured. Breakdown Gaming take round 2 to 100-0. They put themselves tied back up in this map as this has been a really close one. And it's going to go, I think, the distance here. Breakdown Gaming putting themselves right back in this match.
And we're on Control Center, where we're obviously going to see, some death balls from both these teams. And who do you think had the stronger Rein Zarya, or who do you think will be favored in this matchup?
That's so tough to say because you haven't played Rein Zarya versus Rein Zarya yet, right? I mean, Looking for Org, they did open with it on Night Market, but we're going to get a chance to see it much closer here. A Junkrat versus a Pharah here. Breakdown Gaming seemed to really enjoy having that particular character. Shinigami has been so strong on it too, and that's going to be Breakdown Gaming's perhaps advantage here. They have more long-range damage than Looking for Org does.
And they're taking this middle map approach, not focusing on the server side, but you got a Junkrat versus a Hanzo, lots of damage coming in, and actually Looking for Org rotates towards server side. They want to keep their shield up, focus on the spam from Godman and Low Life. And Shinigami as the Pharah has to be careful, just breaking down that shield from Mate as the first pick comes in from Shinigami, getting that nice angle around the shield, and the second one comes in because Mate let his shield down.
And that's going to be just a reset here now as Looking for Org. They get taken out entirely, and that's the power of a Pharah, right? Pharah is so strong at just range damage. You have a Junkrat, there's no real way to contest, and now that's going to be exactly what we see. Godman switching over as Low Life gets knocked off the map. That Concussive Blast coming in handy. Shinigami doing a great job so far. And it's going to be, yet again, Breakdown Gaming just earning themselves a little bit more control percentage.
Fortunately, they don't have a grab for this next one, and very far away are both the teams from that. But Shinigami has a barrage and playing that sort of ground Pharah, and you can see he's coming at an angle to find Looking for Org, but they must expect this to come in, as already a Resurrect has to be used, but a Dragon Strike leads the way for Looking for Org, and Shinigami has to go away, but still gets caught out from the shots of Low Life. Even Godman switching to the McCree, finding a ton of success taking out the supports, and Looking for Org have gotten the team wipe they need as they move towards the point for the retake.
Unfortunately, this is going to be a retake here. As you mentioned, Breakdown Gaming, they kind of got a little bit knocked out. Shinigami plays a little too forward, and Mateo, for Looking for Org, does a great job, zones them out, gets that Soul Charge kill onto Dagostim, and Breakdown Gaming, they lose that fight. This is going to be a 5 ultimate scenario, though, for Breakdown Gaming. Only Dagostim not close, and that's going to be their opportunity here. It's going to be very explosive. They engage with that Valkyrie, and Lemon, this could be Breakdown Gaming just walking in aggressively.
And they probably don't expect Soren to have that Graviton. He's so close to it, 8%, and just waiting for Breakdown to engage. The Earth Shatter completely misses there from Mateo, but he still gets that kill onto Keith, who had his Earth Shatter of his own, as Breakdown still looking to engage. Soren doesn't have the target he wants for the Graviton, but with the 2 picks on the tanks, Breakdown are going to disengage.
And now here, Breakdown Gaming, they have to figure out how they're going to contest this Graviton Surge. They have the Transcendence available, so any, channeled damage won't be really able to do much, but Godman, that High Noon, could spell disasters. Shinigami coming around the back, finds Godman, and the Solo Barrage! It's going to be... it's going to be so massive!
He gets it but gets stunned out of it. Now, that's kind of a nice cancellation, though. I would probably thank him for that. But this is the moment to engage here for Shinigami. They're going for the retake. The Transcendence comes out, and you've got the Dragon Strike Graviton combination. Shinigami can't do anything about it. He can only sit, watch, and wipe his tears as his team gets completely wiped out. At least stalls a little bit more percentage, but that will be it for Looking Forward, who completely hold this one.
Oh, this is just a brutal stagger here on Win 98. And they continue to stagger her, actually, as finally they end her misery going down. But that's just what, 10, 15 seconds taken away? More actually, because it's 10 seconds in the respawn. So it's going to be like a good 20-second, 30-second stagger. Massive play. Shinigami switching off the Pharah into the Brigitte. They want to change some stuff up here. This is going to be last fight scenario. High Noon coming in.
Oh, that's early, but the shield will be up. Does it still find? So how does it still find Windows 98? It's Shinigami out. Resources are out, but Hugo trying to make up for it with the Transcendence. They don't even use it to try and save the supports. It's just to push this front line forward of Breakdown Gaming, and Keith leads the way, and they've taken out the tanks of Looking for Org. So despite losing their supports, Breakdown Gaming are in a winnable situation.
Breakdown Gaming, that's, man, Looking for Org, you gotta be upset with how that turned around. The Graviton, not really finding anything. Daggerson not able to do anything really in that fight, but the High Noon finds nothing, and then finds one, and even then you still end up losing the fight. Great Earth Shatter from Keith to walk them in as they take this next fight really early on.
Yeah, the Dragon Strike just to completely clear out that doorway. The Transcendence used from Sergi, although they just lost Mateo. So Lucavi, yes, that was able to get him a resurrect, as now they want to move in on this, but Mateo goes down. He's getting pressured from all angles. Shield not even to make up for it, but Lowlife has a Dragon Strike ready for the next fight, and that was a lot of chaos. Breakdown will manage to get to 99, and Looking for Org need to engage very quickly here.
Yeah, and as much as the first 2 rounds were stomps on either side, this third one, it goes back that other way, and they're going to turn it back into a 99-99. Graviton Surge, the Dragon Strike misses completely, and they're not going to get any value from it as the turnaround turns in. The Earth Shatter is there from Keith. They're nullifying it. Overtime is in effect, but the kills are all here for Breakdown. Lemon.
Oh, back cap. There's a back cap. Oh my god, from Godman. That forces everybody back. Could Looking for Org engage off of this? It looks like they're already dead, but if that back cap would have happened just a little sooner, perhaps Looking for Org would have a chance. And actually re-engaging here, Lucavi is there to touch, and unfortunately they didn't have Mateo to lead the charge, as quite literally this map will end in map 3 for Breakdown, 100-99.
How much closer can it get? You get a stomp on first point, you get a stomp on second, and then the third is 100-99. It's absolutely massive as we see the Graviton Surge come through, and I think Breakdown Gaming, we've sort of highlighted some of their strengths in the past, and I don't necessarily think it's their mechanics, right? They have good mechanics as a team, absolutely. We talk about Shinigami, we talk about Windows 98. It's just a good team all around in terms of mechanical play, but the thing that strikes me so much more is that they have complete trust in their own gameplay. They don't panic. They don't sort of stagger themselves out on certain fights. They get it. They absolutely just go into the fight, and they're super aggressive. And on top of that, even when they make mistakes, they still work as a team. And I think Breakdown Gaming so far has been a little bit more in tune with what they actually need to do to close out fights. On the other hand, though, it has been Looking for Org looking pretty decent. They haven't shown themselves to be, a stomp or a pushover in that scenario. They actually are doing a really great job. And I think it's just 1 or 2 moments away from taking a map victory of their own. So this has been a really, really close matchup.
Has been really close. I mean, the score tells the story, the players tell the story, and even their history together. The question mark to me is Shinigami. The fair he's trying to force in these not as fair-friendly maps. And then he brought out the Brigitte, where that, I think, helped a lot of Breakdown, at least in the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt matchup. I think that gave Keith a really big upper hand against Mateo on the other side.
I think the one thing though to like mention about the Pharaon Control Center specifically is that there was opening with it is not necessarily a bad idea. You expect to see on the other hand a Brigitte, you expect to see a Junkrat or something along those lines alongside the Hanzo. What does Pharaoh do really well? She stays in the air. What does Junkrat not do so well? What does Brigitte not do so well? They kind of are stuck to the ground. I mean, Junkrat has those satchels, or the concussive mines. They're not really that great for contesting. So they open with Pharaon, they switch off. They're doing a great job. I think that's another thing to highlight about Breakdown. They're more than willing to switch up their composition. If it's not working, don't force it. Go to something that they're equally good at too, right? Like, I mean, how many teams have we talked about in the past? Okay, they're not playing what's necessarily strongest here, but that's because they're not comfortable with it. So they're playing what they're comfortable with. Breakdown, on the other hand, seems to be just be comfortable. It doesn't matter if they're playing Hanzo, if they're playing Widowmaker, if they're playing Pharah. They just play what they want that they think is the best chance for them to win, and it's working. They come into these fights, they switched midway. Shinigami's played so much, so I think Breakdown Gaming definitely have sort of an advantage in terms of what they're trying to run, and kinda, honestly, Looking for Org is playing into their tempo.
And we're going into maybe another closer map where King's Row will be our map 2 for Hybrid. And I sort of asked you at the beginning of Control Center, when you compare Deathball to Deathball, who would you favor? And now we saw a bit of a taste of that on Control Center. And do you think Breakdown will be as successful on King's Row as they were on Control Center?
That is such a tough one. I think it depends on what Looking for Org plays, right? Because we've seen Breakdown. They've run a Hanzo. They've run a Pharah. They've run a Brigitte. They've run everything that we sort of kind of see on King's Row. We kind of expect to see those particular picks on this particular map. So I think, is Breakdown the better team here? Tentatively, yes, but Looking for Org has the opportunity. We can't count them out. They were second. They're second in terms of the standings. They're not a bad team. So to like count them out would be, I think, premature, but they are definitely on the back foot, I think, after that first map.
On the back foot, I wonder if Shinigami is going to bring back the Brigitte, or if he's going to be styling that Pharah on King's Row. And I know Lubbock, we kind of talked about on the desk of, does he earn that title of maybe one of the best Widowmakers in South America? It's been maybe an easier time in their first couple matches, and he's sure shown back on, I think it was Night Market, how dominant he is on the map when he is playing that Widowmaker. And I would bet money that he'd bring it back onto King's Row. And my question is, can Looking for Org contest that Widowmaker? We saw Low Life bring it out, and it was a pretty fair matchup, but I think Lubbock definitely stood out as the Widow.
I think so far in this map, it's been pretty quiet on Lubbock's side, as he hasn't really, or this match so far, he hasn't really popped off kind of like we expect him to. We saw him in last week's match, like he was so good, kind of just putting the hurt onto Caverna, that is, all over that fourth map, Route 66. So has he popped off to that same level? I'm not sure. But as we started on King's Row, it's going to be that Pharah yet again. Shinigami playing something that he's just had success with, as we're going to see a Pharah from both sides, actually. So very interesting team compositions here from both teams as King's Row is underway.
I was maybe expecting the double sniper from Breakdown, or actually any team, and it's very interesting to see double Pharahs even from the defense. So this will lead Godman here, and they already start putting point pressure. You see the crossfire from Breakdown. They have their supports on the high ground. Their Pharahs trying to stay out of line of sight. It's a 1-to-1 trade, although the defense do lose keys. Windows 98 not in the best position to go for that resurrect. But Lubbock is starting to find his strides as the Hanzo, and it does allow to build enough room for Windows 98 to bring back keys. But Looking for Org have now gone onto the flank, and they found the support, so this has forced them in sort of the back part of Hotel.
That's been a super awkward position for Looking for Org to be in, right? They have kind of advantage. They get first pick. They kind of have like sort of spacing, and then just Breakdown walks back in. They sit up on the high ground, but not really a whole lot they can do. So just a super awkward fight all around as Breakdown try and reset now. And Looking for Org, they get the knockoff off the high ground.
And Shinigami is now responding, already breaking down the shield of Mateo. All angles are raining damage here into the offense of Looking for Org. And not a ton of ultimates, just Valkyrie might come online here for Windows 98. And the Resurrects make this a 6-6 fight, but somehow the 2-for-1 from Low Life. The supports are out for the defense, and this is Looking for Org's chance to cap.
I'm Looking for Org. They do a great job. They get zoned out by the Dragon Strike, but they're unable to commit the kill. Breakdown, that is. And unfortunately, Looking for Org just walk back in after the reset. They take the damage. They make sure not to let anyone go down, and they just cleanly take point A. So Looking for Org, a really calm and committed fight. They do a great job. They don't actually use that many ultimates, right? They actually use, I don't think they use anything in that last fight, as Breakdown commits the, the Dragon Strike, they commit the couple of the other things, and as they get the Graviton Surge in now, the Dragon Strike is going to allow them to push for free.
Yeah, it's a lot of free room, and they might get to halfway through Street Phase without even necessarily taking a fight. I don't think we even expected that. I don't think Breakdown expected that. They've held on to their support ultimates. I don't even think Hugo was there to use the Transcendence, and even Windows 98 didn't use the Valkyrie when they were starting to lose the point. Breakdown being so patient as looking for Origars, playing around point B, and Breakdown will have to stop this one.
And so, you commit the Dragon Strike, you commit the Graviton Surge. That's really, it's a one fight by itself. So they're okay with that. I think Breakdown Gaming are looking to come back into this next one. Godman on the flank here, that barrage online, and they're looking to find something with it as the Valkyrie is committed.
Oh god, man, he's got sights on the supports with the barrage, and Hugo is getting pocketed here and actually hitting some shots. And that's a barrage from the other side. It's a ton of kills coming in from Breakdown. So although Godman was going on a pretty nice flank, didn't end up working out.
I think that flank was a little too telegraphed. If you don't see such a high impact character, you're like, that's a bit odd. Where is she? And then, Godman, I guess they call out, let's engage. They engage hard. Shinigami uses the barrage. The cleanup's all there. Looking for Org, lose the fight. And now, though they do lose the fight, they actually just use the Valkyrie, I believe. Whereas Breakdown uses two ultimates, the Valkyrie as well as the barrage, rather. Too many combos in the brain here as the fight, next one coming right back up.
And that's an Earthshatter from Mateo that can sort of start things off as the little Hanzo battle into the flank. Lubak, though, would try to find a really nice Dragon Strike. He has this lane wide open to him, doesn't decide to pull the trigger on that one. As meanwhile, Shinigami's gotten comfortable into the backline. The supports are taken care of from looking for Org, as they will be stopped yet again.
And that's going to be just a reset there. Shinigami trying to find some value with the Pharah, continues to do the concussive blast in as they want to try and get that kill, but unable to. They just charge up the Zarya just a little bit. 40 energy, it's going to hurt. Shinigami goes down, and this next fight starts off with a Resurrect committed.
Looking at the Gravitons will be the main factor of this next fight with both Transcendences online. Mercy's available to power boost. That's already a Dragon Strike from Soren and the Dragon Strike from Lowlife. And not, actually, yes, the Hugo did use that Transcendence, did not save two of his fellow teammates. Is looking for Org. Are comfortable here, pushing to point C. Windows 98 could get caught out there. Somehow Guardian Angel's out of line of sight. But Breakdown, don't think they're going to contest this one. They're going to set up for C.
That was a really awkward fight there. They only captured the main tank in the Graviton Surge. Hugo, the call to Transcendence comes just a little too late. They're unable to keep the Reinhardt up, and then the fight just ends the fire. It's a bit of a disjointed fight. A weird call comes in, and unfortunately for Breakdown, they're unable to really turn that one right back in their favor. And looking for Org, they throw a Graviton Surge in. They want to take this fight right here, and they're going to get a couple of kills. And a really, really aggressive early play. They're going to stall this card out really early on here on third.
Having that combo available does help out a lot, and even gave some nice ultimate charge to Shinigami as that Pharah. But the main expectation for this team is on the defense or offense is to secure that high ground on the point C. And Keith and friends are actually holding the doors of point C, and that's probably because he has Earthshatter, not expecting Mate. I think Mate might have used it in that last fight. So Mateo is going to be expecting this one to happen. Keith is just trying to bait his shield down, looking for that Earthshatter. Fire strikes galore. Looking for Org are wounded, and the go sign hasn't been started yet. The Valkyrie for Breakdown, as tons of action in the back here for looking for Org, but they don't look like they're ready to engage yet.
And they're going to just commit the Earthshatter. They're just committing in a really weird scenario. Hugo gets a brilliantly timed headshot as Lubak cleans up. They're going to commit the Transcendence. They want to win this fight right here. Shinigami in the backline just going to try and rain some damage down, and that's going to be it. That fight over, but wow, that was really, really awkward and messy from both sides. Breakdown, though, they come out on top, and with 2 minutes remaining, looking for Org are a little bit of an awkward scenario. They do have a combo coming online shortly, and not really a whole lot Breakdown can do to stop them there.
Graviton from Soren, from looking for Org, and Dragon Strike about to be online. You said it. The combo is there for looking for Org, and they need that team wipe. They want to get to the end of point C with tons of time remaining. Already a minute 40. Their time bank is dwindling away as both crowd control ultimates available for looking for Org. He's looking for the Earthshatter. He finds two with it, but the Dragon Strike actually cuts the backline of looking for Org, and while Mateo is distracted, pinned to the other side, back towards the spawn room, as looking for Org have a very weak shield. They have wounded teammates teammates, but Gami with the double. Now the supports are out for Breakdown, so although that looked very scary for looking for Org, they've actually responded.
Looking for Org do a great job. The Earth Shatter, while it doesn't actually get a lot of value, knocks the tanks out for just long enough, and the Dragon Strike is unable to zone out properly. Graviton Surge committed, and it's going to try and find some of the supports at the doorway. They're actually going to close out here. And with that, looking for Org, they're going to capture it, but they do it with less than a minute remaining. Round 1 complete, and looking for Org, not necessarily in the best situation. Breakdown Gaming definitely have a window here to complete the map in better time.
I was getting kind of short on the time bank there, minute 40 in that last fight, and it actually looked like they started to disengage, but it was that the Diva from Looking for Org that got the double, and it kind of started their momentum going. And of course, at the back of that Earth Shatter too from Keith, that was really, or Mateo, that was really nice.
Yeah, Mateo's doing a great job, I think, as a tank here. I think he was less impressive on Lijiang Tower. King's Row, though, he seems to have come into his own. He's doing a great job of, even if he's not getting kills from his ultimates, like especially the tanks, you kind of expect them to have such a high intensity crowd control ultimates. We talk about Earth Shatter, we talk about Graviton Surge, and so on, you know, a whole hog, and just the list goes on. But Mateo hasn't really been getting kills necessarily confirmed from his Earth Shatters, but has done a great job of nullifying the tanks from Breakdown Gaming, and they're able to open up space then for Looking for Org's DPS to actually come in and clean up the fight. So Looking for Org have done a great job, and I think Breakdown Gaming, they're taking as much as the pace has kind of favored Breakdown through much of the map. Looking for Org hasn't really fallen prey to just sort of giving up halfway through, and they're doing a pretty good job, I think, of resetting themselves.
And it was interesting that they, Looking for Org just mostly ignored, woo, I'm getting dizzy. Looking for Org mostly ignored Shinigami's Sparrow. They were more focused on hitting those combos and winning the ground war. So I wonder, we didn't see much Widowmaker, and we're still not going to see it here. Shinigami might be opting more for a Brigitte instead of a Pharaoh, trying to switch up his gameplay.
This is going to be interesting because what Breakdown are doing is technically it's pretty strange. They're running kind of goats, kind of not, but we're gonna give them a chance. We're gonna see what they've got. Is Looking for Org a little bit more standard of a common position here on first point. King's Row, the Junkrat, the Hanzo. Hanzo instead of Widow is a bit of an odd choice, but other than that, pretty standard. As they set up on the high ground here, Breakdown walking in pretty aggressively as they want to pull the point right away.
Yeah, they get speed boosted there from Hugo. Now this is going to force Looking for Org to drop down, and that's going to be the 4-5 from Mateo, keeps him alive temporarily. Is Lubak trying to find a crossfire onto the exposed members of Looking for Org as the Hanzo low life wins that one, and Breakdown have managed to get 2 ticks during this whole engagement, and thanks to now the shield bash here for Shinigami, but the searching from behind, actually a pretty good Zenyatta to be on that flank. Also put in some damage from the defense, but Breakdown are pretty happy with that, walking away with 2 ticks with a pretty short fight.
Yeah, and on top of that, they're actually coming to this next fight with a res advantage. They're going to switch to Pharah Shinigami on that comfort pick. So we kind of talked about them switching off a whole lot, but hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And they use that Pharah continuously. Shinigami has done a great job of that hero. They're going to continue just to walk into the point. Keith, they're just going to pull aggro right away as the Riptire is committed.
Well, Riptire into the back, and where does it get to find? I haven't seen a Riptire from this guy even on Control Center, but it finds Hugo at the back. Already some resources gone. You're going to lose that Discord Orb. A Breakdown are still looking to engage, especially with that Resurrect. You can see Swarn try not to lose mech, and he manages to stay alive. That's a lot of ult charge into Lukavi, who now uses the Valkyrie. Crazy fight with the Dragon Strike. Lubak going up, even Shinigami on the kill feed, and they'll manage to clean out this fight.
That flick was absolutely nuts on the flying Valkyrie there. I mean, it wouldn't have really changed the outcome. Breakdown had to on that point by that point, but it was just a really slick shot, and that's going to be Breakdown Gaming taking first point, and they're going to push up really aggressively. They have both tank ultimates online, Valkyrie coming up very, very shortly, so they are very much in place to be able to do a whole lot here. Only low life and Searchy on the other side as Godman switches up to the Pharah. So Breakdown in the driver's seat, at least through the screech phase of King's Row. As a boot comes in, they want to try and commit for the Earth Shatter, but I think they just end up not end up going far enough.
Oh, the reaction time, man. He booped past them, though, in perfect time to Earth Shatter his whole backline, being very careful how he wants to use it. Big disengage here for Breakdown. They give up a lot of free space here to Looking for Org, and we both only 1 Dragon Strike online, but a Graviton here from Dagostim. Just waiting on the go sign of when this will engage. As Dagostim being so careful here, he's backed all the way back, although Looking for Org are not really up there. So Breakdown, love to see them play more aggressively here.
They force Transcendence out, and that's unfortunate because they're down one already. So this is going to be a case of Dagostim. If he could stay alive, they could actually win this fight out right now. It's a Graviton Surge committed early on. The Zenyatta in the backline somehow finding value, but with that combination, you're not going to win the fight. They need to turn it right back around. Tank still staying alive. Lowlife walking right through. He's going to keep alive. The pocket's on here, and Lowlife has been popping off. Shinigami to clean it up. He's the only one left. It's a Mercy versus Fire. This is not a fight you usually expect to see. Shinigami trying to turn this one right back in, and it's going to be the Mercy taking it. Oh my goodness. God. What can you say? That is hilariously great. That fight just going so long. And unfortunately for Breakdown, they end up losing it. But what a fight.
I don't know why I got so stressed out for Shinigami. This should have been a way easier fight for him, and I think his ego might be a little bit hurt after that one. But Breakdown will get to go again. And they'll have Barrage or Shatter to go into, and looking for Org have also a stack of ultimates, mainly their Dragon Strike about to be online. And in Street Phase, Dragon Strikes are so deadly. You're all cramped into this tiny lane, and Breakdown started to push their distance. And looking for Org, trying to play near point B. They're rotating in, they're rotating out, and Godman is getting a lot of free rockets here.
And this map has just been, as this fight continues, they're going to try and find some advantage, but looking for Org already in the driver's seat in this fight, it's going to be very much disadvantage. But Lubach, with that high, with that Storm Arrow, going to find some value. Is again a flick down, and they're down to our Breakdown, but they turn it right back in as the Resurrect is there, and Breakdown. It's just...
That's so crazy. At least he used it in the trance, so that kept him up. And for some reason, looking for Org in a lost fight, but looks like they've committed the Transcendence to keep their last 3 remaining members alive, and that's not going to last too long. As looking for Org, in desperation, have to retreat, try and keep their supports alive for point B. Oh, Searchy. I feel like Shinigami's getting really unlucky with these support 1v1s.
Unlucky, or is it just pure skill from the supports? They're doing a great job. They're zoning out pretty aggressively here, though. Breakdown have to contest, or have no contest, as Lubach uses that Storm Arrow yet again, Lemon, and they're going to try and close this fight out.
You got 2 tank ultimates online coming in for Breakdown. You got the Graviton and the Earth Shatter. Looking for Org, have been sitting on Lowlife's Dragon Strike. So I wonder how they're going to... Oh, that's Godman now getting on to the Diva. You got triple tank coming out of Looking for Org. What do you think of that?
I think they know that Dagostim has Graviton Surge, and they're trying to nullify it here because they Searchy not having the Transcendence yet. So we're gonna see what they're gonna try and do as they commit that Dragon Strike into this fight.
And now they need to dislodge those players from the high ground. That's exactly what Godman is doing with the Diva, pushing them off, pushing them into the line of fire, that Dragon Strike. But Breakdown survived to tell the tale, and they have a Graviton. Looking for Org probably have no idea. Only 3 members inside, actually all there. Such a juicy Graviton waiting for Dagostim to push the go button. But they're wounded. They want to regroup their forces, wait for Lubach, communicate when they can have this combo, because now in 2 minutes left, their time bank is starting to get a little bit slow.
That was a huge Earth Shatter. He baits him out completely. The swing, the Earth Shatter right after, and Breakdown continue to walk forward. 2 minutes remaining. They nullify that advantage, and looking for Org. They're going to switch off. They have to do something here. A Graviton or the Dragon Strike going to be used as the Transcendence is right there, but Lowlife goes down right after.
Well, there's a Graviton Dragon Strike. There's a ton of ultimates and chaos, but when the smoke clears, Breakdown are about to finish this map with at least a 40-second advantage. But Looking for Org could stall this one, make it a little bit closer, but no, it will end right here on the back of some great plays, great Gravitons there from Breakdown.
Breakdown, man. We have to shout out our analysts. Ham Tornado and Poopasaurus have been so hyped about this particular match. And why? I mean, Breakdown. They're just so much fun. Like, what can you say? They're like, yo, we're losing the fight. No, we're not. That's an Earth Shadow with 3. We're just going to kill him. It's just great. You know, the fight ends, but I guess it doesn't. And they just keep going. They bring it back from the brink all the time. And man, it has been just one of the strangest matches I've ever got to cast, but in a great way. I think Breakdown has done a great job of bringing the excitement here in this setup.
Going into extra innings, LaFon, and it's really only a 40-second difference between these two teams. We're looking for Org will be on the offense. They tried the triple tank for their final defense there, and it looked interesting, but Godman will decide to be on the Junkrat Hanzo. That's a nice combination to put a lot of damage there into Keith's shield. But Shinigami on the Sphera, he was really feeling it in Street Phase. Barrage is a bit more questionable, but overall, he's a presence to be reckoned with.
And what I mean, I'm at a loss for words. Breakdown has been they press W and don't let go. Just add claps in between all of those words because it has been a case of just extreme excitement. So they're going to change up their defense, as we mentioned, a little bit more of a passive on-point play off that high ground that we mentioned earlier. Was so common, as we're going to see Ryan versus Ryan, Zarya versus Zarya. Let's get it going.
And Shinigami is going to try and find those angles around the enemy team, but it's really trying to play out of sight there because Lowlife has got his focus completely on Shinigami, gets him so low health, and you can see even the shield of Keith is breaking. His health is going down, and Lowlife is more focused on Shinigami than the overall fight. Godman already goes down for looking for Org. I don't think Lukavi is in a position to res, but they got Keith's shield really low, and they get his health really low. So this is a very late fight here, probably waiting for Lowlife to use that Dragon Strike, takes care of the enemy Hanzo, and this is looking pretty good for looking for Org.
That Dragon Strike is going to be committed. Lowlife on the high ground being besieged by Shinigami. Hasn't been able to really find anything as Keith goes down here. And this might be an ability now to turn it right back in their favor. Graviton Surge captures no one as Dagostim goes down. So overtime is in effect. The Transcendence is going to be committed as well. A bit of a curious play there as the shoulder charge nullifies the res. And with Win98 going down, Hugo going down, it's just a reset on point. Lubok trying to find anything. Won't. And this will be point A going to looking for Org.
Oh god, that was so close. And each got Mateo coming out of nowhere with the RKO onto the support or whoever that was so unlucky to meet that. But we're going into Street Phase Lafon, where of course Dragon Strike Graviton is only a combination available for Breakdown because they have Swarend on the D1 instead of the Zarya.
I think they know that Dagostim's really close as that Riptire is going to be committed. It's trying to find something. It's going to find Win98, and that's just a pick that you have to not have. And unfortunately, looking for Org are going to have to back up here. They might try and retake, but it's going to be a losing fight, I think, as Valkyrie committed now for looking for Org.
Looking for Org cannot afford to lose any fight. It's in overtime. They're trying to build a lot of distance, and there's a Dragon Strike Earth Shatter. That's a combination that'll work for them, and they even have a leftover Transcendence. But what an investment of ultimates for looking for Org, and well justified because they cannot afford to lose anything here.
If Keith goes down here, that'll be just a massive loss. But they stay alive, they stay top tough here, and now overtime, they want to retake. Breakdown's going to get a last fight in before the point gets to that second point, or the cart gets to that second point, rather, and they're going to come in. They're going to try and get this combination off the Dragon Strike, the Dragon Strike and the Graviton. This is their win condition now for Breakdown Gaming.
Oh, so much on the board for Breakdown. It'd be up to Swarend to try and eat this Graviton, but it's launched, not eaten. But the Transcendence is there. The barrage is blocked from Shinigami, has no value. Looking for Org are losing numbers, including tanks. They still have their support alive. Maybe a Resurrect could go through, but they step off of the payload, and Breakdown Gaming will stop the payload short of B.
That last fight, oh man. They tried their best. Swarend actually ate the Dragon Strike, so there wasn't that damage in the Graviton. As you mentioned, the barrage was nullified, but the Keith just swinging away. The Graviton is such a great place to deal a lot of damage for a Reinhardt. They're all clumped up together, and that cleave damage from the hammer is so massive, so they do actually end up taking that point. And the Transcendence had been used before, so it is going to be Breakdown Gaming stopping the payload just shy of that 5th point. As we head now to looking for Org's defense, and they have an opportunity now to tie up the series 1-1, as King's Row is definitely theirs, available for the taking.
Possibly to even up this series, or Breakdown could have a sick offense and keep this one going to a 2-0, and this is maybe a bit surprising to some because looking for Org are in second. They're only really one map differential from Brazil Gaming House. They've had an incredible season so far, and Breakdown, I mean, they're both in playoff contention, so maybe this matters more for the seeding into playoffs of what team they might face from Group B. But tell me about this defense, Lafon. It's nothing new. Godman and Lowlife on the Junkrat and Hanzo.
I mean, this is expected, right? The high ground, it's sort of what we kind of see. Shinigami on, going to be on now on the defense. They're going to try and play it. The low ground, as you mentioned, for looking for Org. They're going to play the Ryan Zarya. Not exactly uncommon. We've seen it a lot. We've seen it before. It's Breakdown Gaming going to be running goats. They're going to run right aggressively, but no Zarya. They're going to be running a hog instead. So here it goes. Hugo in the back line as they try and win this fight out.
Very surprising not to see a Zarya, but they clean up the fight, it seems, and pretty a high-charged Zarya, though, from Svarin, who makes it out, and they actually save Lukavi as it looked like a whole hug there from Lubak just a second ago, as Breakdown Gaming still trying to pressure this one, but all looking for Org are trying to do is maybe burn time off the clock, make this as difficult as possible, and maybe even bait out some ultimates as they use like Coalescence, a whole hog, now a Transcendence from looking for Org. They look very serious about retaking this one.
Shinigami is going to use that rally. That the fight has already been lost pretty much. It's super awkward to see, but this is going to be trying to find some value. There was a quick Transcendence on the side of looking for Org as they swing away. Already a tick taken. They need to find values. The block is there. A great thing from Shinigami as he keeps going in on the point. Just taking the world on by himself here, Lemon, as they try and retake now. Looking for Org, trying to walk back into this.
Breakdown are actually starting to sustain. You can see looking for Org giving a lot more space. Godman is just at the back trying to break down the shield, but they've officially given this one up, it seems, as Mateo's just going to throw his body onto that. But what a defense that was. It did look chaotic, but they burned it down to 10 seconds. And that was looking for Org, who got into overtime at this particular point. So looking for Org are pretty happy with this.
Looking for Org are... they're doing a great job. They take down a 4-second loss on the fight, I guess, technically. Hugo now given cart duties as they're trying to just walk forward, and Godman looking to see if he could probably play a little too aggressively. Doesn't really see anything to go in off him, so they're going to retreat for the moment as Keith finds the riptide, the trap, the stun!
Oh.
It's there! Oh no!
The combo, it's there! The Dragon Strike also there, cutting through the enemy team. It's overtime, and Breakdown cannot afford to get off of this payload. That's got to be the safest. Lucio Hugo is not expecting this train wreck happening for looking for Org, as they even throw the tire on top of it, and looking for Org will tie up the series 1-1.
And that is the power of Dragon Strike Graviton, or Dragaton as some friends of mine call it. That said, oh my goodness, what a map. What a series we have on our hands here so far, Lemon. This has been an absolute barn burner and super exciting.
It's so hard to observe these kind of matches when there's ultimates coming in at all these different angles. And of course, the Hanzo play of the game always making it onto our screen. But it's a 1-1 series. Now the desk. Are their predictions correct? What do they think? Boop, Ham, and friends, take it away.
Wow. That's all I'm going to say about this series so far.
I'm glad you can count us among your friends, your friends, LeBron. But yeah.
So I think in the end, this is one of the best games I have watched in, at least so far in this first half, just in general for a while, right? And not only are these stories so cool, Breakdown, $10, right? 1-1 against a former console professional team. Like, what amazing storylines there. I'm literally like flushed. Like, it was utter silence, and then the opposite.
It's like
here
sitting next to a furnace right now. Boop is just has like, you know, the spirit of Overwatch flowing through him right now.
We've got some things to break
here.
down. So the thing is, Panda, is there was a map called Lijiang Tower at the beginning of all of that. That feels like forever ago at this point in time. And that also went the distance. So Breakdown got the last 2 rounds and struggled on Gardens. And so, Panda, you had a really good reason as to why that was the case, and it had a lot to do with the supports.
Unfortunately, it did. And as your resident support main, I am happy to tell you that they did end up coming across with the Lucio. I mean, Gardens is really, really fun for Boops. I'm sure you know Booposaurus. But Lucio versus Zenyatta, you're going to be missing a lot of key openings, such as Discord Orb and Transcendence Healing. It is so huge comparative to a sound barrier that you just can't give your team the upper edge on a team fight, especially when you're in that mirror matchup for tanks and DPS as well. When you have that one niche support difference in Lucio versus Zenyatta, the Zenyatta is just going to win every time. I mean, Orb and Discord is just really, really strong in this current patch.
But in the end, Breakdown were able to take it.
That's right.
In 3 rounds, 2-1. Ham, what was the reason for that?
Super strong far play from Shinigami, and just in general, I think that Nocturnes, they were a little bit hampering them, or excuse me, looking for Org were a little bit tying their own legs together with kind of the support pick, or not the support picks, the DPS picks, my brain is still scrambled, man. I am still living on King's Row. But the DPS picks that we saw coming through, we had like a McCree Hanzo at one point, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's a very, not just unusual for the region, but also just generally very unusual, because once you do lose that initial, say, city center fight, it can be very hard to break out through the choke without some kind of huge ultimate, a grab, a tire, something like that. So when you have two DPS that require a lot of space in order to be effective, it can be very difficult for you to come back on. And I think that was kind of what Breakdown were taking advantage of in that win on Lijiang Tower.
So we're going to go ahead and go to King's Row because we have a lot of thoughts for sure. And Panda, Breakdown almost screwed themselves on their first push with a graviton underneath some environment that blocked some of the rocket barrage. You had a lot to say about that. Can you tell the people out there why that was a little frustrating for you?
Well, the Graviton Surge itself is in a difficult state of mind as well. You know, you need it in an opening space so that way there is enough room for both Reinhardt cleave damage on the inside of it, and then you also need a devastating DPS ultimate in there. In this case, it was the Barrage. It's not like most DPS ultimates that we're used to. I'm trying to think of what ultimate we're so used to seeing in this patch. I mean, it has something to do with Flying Dragons for sure, but we'll talk about that at a later time. The Fair Barrage on top of Reinhardt Cleave needs to be more in a more open space, especially. It puts your rest of the DPS and support line in an unwarranted position, and it's very punishable, especially when you have a defensive Hanzo that you have to get through. He can go ahead and pick your little skull out of that tiny little bit of a backline.
And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was that point A second offense for Breakdown, which had some ebbs and flows involved, Cam. Can you break that one down a little bit? Because Breakdown was inches away from losing that first point. They ended up losing the map, but they almost lost it earlier.
Yeah, it was an extremely long, drawn-out brawl on that first point. When you do know that you have to brawl, Shinigami's Brigitte is always a very good choice. She's strongest when she's just in the thick of things. She has to be, doing damage in order to get that Inspire healing going. But where we saw it slightly fall apart was giving Godman the chance to build up to that tire, as well as, not really having anybody to try and dive with Dagostim's D.Va onto the low life's Hanzo. He was getting so many finishing blows because, unless you're winning an absolutely clean wipe on the point itself and then kind of dealing with the Hanzo, it can be very difficult in those scrappy battles to be, flip-flopping your shield in all directions because Hanzo is constantly on your flank. And so that's going to be a lot of free damage coming in onto a Breakdown, which is what happened. And it ended up in kind of just this like bare knuckle brawl, like 3v2 baby D.Va versus Hanzo type of deal. They did scrap it out in the end, but ended up dropping the fight. They had so many tools on the board, but they were kind of getting a little bit too anxious, I think. We talked about the mental game before that Breakdown were able to rebound after a crushing loss against BGH to continue to play with confidence. But now I'm starting to see that this may be a weakness of the youth of this team, that they're not quite able to, pull the reins back a little bit when they need it, overextended too far past the payload. They tried to go for that aggressive push wherein even if they get wiped, they can still have one more try, but the caveat was it was already overtime. So they had no rebound. And
so, Panda, the other thing I want to talk about Breakdown is the fact that Keith is the only player that is playing that has any prior professional experience at all in Overwatch. So I think that he has not been performing as well as he did the last time we saw Keith, because he popped off on some Winston and Reinhardt. But on looking for Org seemed to be controlling him a little bit. Do you think that's affecting the overall Breakdown play?
Absolutely. I mean, it is safe to say that Keith himself is getting a decent amount of healing. I mean, we see Win98 with amazing positioning and amazing use of the Guardian Angel ability from Mercy. So the healing is there, but there is another play into effect. It's going to be proper DPS play coming out of Godman and Lowlife as well. You saw on third point as well, they even went to the turn of switching Godman onto D.Va on King's Row, especially. They did it both on defense and attack as well. What that specifically will do for the Reinhardt, not only is it immense shield pressure going on over, I mean, I'm comparative to the Junkrat that we just previously saw as well. The D.Va can also boop him out of place, make him extremely uncomfortable, will disrupt him, and just basically make him swing more than he would rather want to as well. Off of that as well, we also saw a fantastic Junkrat play come out for their defense, which again puts Keith in a very rough state of mind. Anytime that a Reinhardt feels the incredible power of shield break, and you don't have a wall that you can, I guess, quickly hide behind, you're gonna be forced to swing your hammer, and that's a lot of free damage going over to the whichever team has the shield break potential, and it's a lot of ult charge to go along with it as well.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Dagostim was on a D.Va for that final push rather than a Zarya, who could have really taken advantage of the spam damage coming through from Godman's Junkrat, but that's a little neither here nor there.
I think also, Panda, you mentioned something about the supports as well on Breakdown, and how Win98 healing so much was actually a detractor for Hugo's Zenyatta. Go into that a little bit deeper.
Win98, it's refreshing, right? As someone that does play a lot of Mercy, it's refreshing to see the mechanics of Mercy played at such a high level, like Win98 brings to the table, using both snipers and the Pharah and the Sky as proper anchors to glide around the team, to fly around in the open space, to flick around with the mouse as well, so that your head doesn't stay in an improper place to get properly sniped out of the sky as well. It's really nice, and it gives her a lot of quick Valkyrie charge as well. What it also does, unfortunately, is that it disables Hugo. So much proper healing coming out from Mercy, and all the Valk charge that comes across from it as well, will desync the Transcendence healing across to different DPS ultimates or Graviton Surge. I'm sure you all know at home that the Transcendence is one of the best things to have inside there, and when you don't have it off the sync, but you only have a Mercy Valkyrie ultimate, you don't really stay on sync with the enemy ultimates.
So we are going to go into game 3 of this, what I'm expecting to be 5-game series. And the cool thing about this is we're going to go to Anubis next. And what we saw in King's Row, some of that might actually transition here. We're still going to see some Shinigami. We're going to see some low life on Hanzo, who has been popping off for looking for Org. And let's see if they're going to be able to maintain this match and the hype that it's brought, because these two teams are very evenly matched. And so, Lemon, LaFon, why don't you take it away and finish things out?
Going into map 3, Breakdown versus Looking for Oregon, kind of a different expectation that we saw. In Control Center LaFon, it was like, well, Deathball versus Deathball, and I think it was Breakdown that had the upper hand there. But when we turned into King's Row, it was Looking for Org that took the Deathball crown.
I think one of the things to note, right, is like it's just a strange situation when the way you're playing it, like, kind of change up the style. Control Center is always a different look than it is on other Deathball maps. Specifically, you run a lot of burst comps, Junkrat, Pharah, Hanzo, so on, so on. A lot of Brigitte. There's a lot of stuff there for in that composition. So to change it up, I think King's Row is not exactly the same. They do play a lot of goats. They play some Junkrat. They play some Orisa. There's a little bit of Pharah in the air. It's super, super close. Actually, that map was really, really close. It comes down to a Graviton Surge and a combination of things, right? But we're moving on to map 3 here, and I have a bit of a confession to make. Actually, when Breakdown's name is said, I can't help but think of Lucio's Break It Down, and then I think of like music and DJs, and then I think like, man, this would be fun to dance to. So I don't know. It's just
I was thinking of mental breakdowns, but maybe I'm a little bit more toxic. I hope that they don't.
I think those are different sides of the spectrum in terms of thoughts when it comes to their name.
Everything's gonna be okay. I'm okay. But Breakdown are looking okay on this defense. They used the main to get their Orisa, Junkrat, Widow set up on this high ground. Looking for Org. Already spotted out this push. They're staying out of line of sight. They've gone towards the big health pack side where you can see the Godman Genji at the distance. He's gonna be a flank to worry about. So Lubak is gonna transcend towards this side of the map. But the dive here is initiated from Mateo. Windows 98 able to Valkyrie to the other side of the map. So Looking for Org have to deal with the split defense here of Breakdown.
And this is going to be like a high ground contest. Lubak is basically free firing. No one's been able to really just dislodge Lubak from that high ground. They haven't even gotten that tick yet. That first tick, so Lubak gonna have to take a little dodge here as they try and reset out as Godman. Also very weak, but a great peel, and of course the deflection nullify it. And this is going to be Breakdown just trying to keep brawl it out, just take it away from them, as Dagostim already has that self-destruct, and the Dragon Blade online as well. What an aggressive early fight.
Oh yes, and wants to finish out the rest of the supports here. Windows 98 taking fire, but this fight is already won here for Looking for Org. Looks like maybe a re-engagement from Breakdown, just has to deal with Dagostim. But what I thought was kind of funny from Dagostim is he had time to spray the ground while in the middle of an engagement. So that
if you're not meleeing the ground and spraying, I question your dedication to the Overwatch mechanics.
Oh, the switch.
It's gonna be a switch up here as they go wholesale to a different composition. Second point, they want to play a more brawl-like composition. Again, they don't really have any ultimates online except the support, so they will keep those two. But other than that, pretty much just fully turned as Breakdown now set up on the defense and try and find some value here. Breakdown, they have their ultimates coming online as Lubok switches to Genji. Strange pick here, but they're going to try and walk in as Keith deftly dodges that trap. And they're going to try and find an opportunity to shut down looking for Org.
Oh, they come in towards the left side, but Mateo just giving some free damage, and they'd love to build up ultimates for this fight. Both support ultimates online for either team, and Windows 98 will start with the Valkyrie here, so maybe looking for Org or waiting this one out. And a pin out of nowhere! Mateo starting off the first pick, but Windows 98 somehow gets that resurrect, I think from the other side of the wall, as a transcendence from Breakdown keeps them up, while Windows 98 was busy. But with 1 DPS missing, looking for Org, have the momentum in their favor. Now they start build up ultimates, mainly the thirst shatter from Mateo and the triple kill from Lowlife. Now the Riptire comes out and it finishes off Windows 98 trying to Valkyrie, or trying to Guardian Angel into the last seconds of this fight, as almost 2 takes earned for looking for Org. It was a nice stall from Lumok. This allows the re-engagement here with Breakdown, but a Graviton traps them. And the cleanup crew is here. Can you believe the snowball that we just occurred from 0 ultimates to a team wipe with 5 minutes? Looking for Org, shut down Anubis.
Don't call it a speed run, but give it your best impression. Looking for Org, they complete the map in a pretty good time. 4 minutes, 56. That is as clean a round as you can contest. And now looking for Org, they sit up on their defensive end as they want to try and hold on and take their lead in the series. Breakdown Gaming, they do a decent job of trying to stop out the snowball, but just unfortunately unable to really turn in their favor. They're looking for Org, a much better handle on compositional choices, and now Breakdown Gaming, it's their turn to try and make an effort here just to capture the second point. They need to capture with more than a minute left. Otherwise, looking for Org will have a very sizable lead going into second round. So Breakdown Gaming, their comeback starts here. Well, comeback on this map. They are tied in the series, but they come back on this map starts here as they assemble their heroes. And now, a really interesting first point there, I think, is just how much brawl looking for Org is taking and how quickly they're building ultimates to just turn the fights in their favor.
And it was all on the back of that crazy pin from Mateo that took out the main tank of Keith. And then the fact that Godman got like a triple and didn't even use the tire. Usually getting stuck in such small quarters can really punish your team, but Breakdown, we're letting them stay in there. And maybe this is start of Breakdown breaking apart. It's 1-1, and you just had the snowball of a lifetime from looking for Org. So Breakdown, you've already mentioned, they have to go off here to make this close.
They have to, and I wouldn't put it past them. They've been pretty strong here as they try to, just get ready for this attack round. As looking for Org, though, as much as we've been talking about Breakdown Gaming, we got to mention looking for Org. They've looked good. They've looked great at points, and now their turn to actually put an exclamation point on their play as they want to try and take a lead here on map number 3. It's a case where they could absolutely just put themselves back up at match point, as it's going to be Goats comp coming from Breakdown here on Temple of Anubis. A bit of an awkward, unorthodox choice for sure.
They're going to get just speed boosted right down to the point, but unfortunately, they lose a ton of healing there from Windows 98 going down. They still decide to engage. Hopefully, she's able to get back, but Lowlife on this Widow has gotten multiple picks already. And the only issue here with this Goats comp is no one can really contest the high ground except Dagostin. So looking for Org will hold this defense, and Breakdown will just trickle in. Looks like they finally reset.
I think Breakdown has a fundamental made a fundamental mistake in how they approached that particular fight. They kind of expected looking for Org to set up on the back high ground, but quite frankly, it's not necessarily the greatest choice these days. And unfortunately, Breakdown they thought, okay, we'll run to point and make them fall down, except they weren't there, so they just kind of get stuck out. And as you mentioned, the Riptire here, Lemon, you're gonna stifle that one too.
Yeah, could they resurrect that though and keep going? But Lowlife decides to be a very aggressive Widow 76, finish things off, but looking for Org. What, is he still going? Jaco Sim, though, can really punish him. If only you hit those mini rockets just a bit better, but the D-Mech will go through, which will stall things out for Breakdown, but he'll probably just go back to the spawn room and switch up. Or not. Or he'll just die.
Well, yeah, he'll just die. And Lubok is actually caught out here. About half the team's caught out here as they're in the high ground. They're just going to try and reset here. I think they're going for a comp switch, not find any kills either, so it's just basically a stall. If they do pull an ultimate out, Lemon, that's going to be some value as they're trying getting a reset yet again.
Low Life is popping off though. He's just secretly getting these multi-kills into the very back, and you can see Breakdown haven't really invested any time in worrying about him. They're relying on the pure aggression of the speed boost and relying on Shinigami to use the shield bash to kind of deal with the tanks, but Breakdown are down to their last 2 minutes.
The Graviton Surge just tossed in.
Okay.
I think Lubak is actually just switching, so it's a bit of a firework. You know, maybe put Looking for Org into a questioning situation. They maybe force a Transcendence out of them or something, but they are going to engage this dive Lemon. They're trying to go in really aggressively.
Using this dive to disable Low Life, who now has in for sight, but he's still finding picks. It's already one tank down for Breakdown. Not even deciding to use the Sound Bear, although they're all very wounded. They've maybe decided they've lost this fight already, losing 3 members, mainly 2 of your supports. But Breakdown have some good potential in this next one, having that Sound Bear. Now Shinigami's onto the Genji.
Yeah, I think that's a case of just, they do a good job of not staying, I mean, I think maybe they stayed a little too long in their composition, but they finally change off. They will have time to build ultimates here. Shinigami maybe just getting at the very tail end of the fight, but that said, we are now in the final minute of this attack as the engage happens, Sound Barrier committed, and they're gonna walk right back in.
Yeah, used right as they dived in, and that forces the Transcendence from Searchy, and the in the Riptire takes out the main tank of Keith, but I believe he should be resurrected. No, that's actually Low Life coming back. So Windows 98 not finding the best opportunity to bring back their main tank, and actually gets punished from Low Life getting back into the fight. So LaFon, we're down to the last 40 seconds, and Breakdown haven't even gotten a point P yet.
They haven't done much at all in terms of being getting to the point. They've gotten 1 or 2 fights, but really been just staggered out, and now we are in very much last fight scenario, and Breakdown have nothing to work with. That said, Looking for Org, just the self-destruct. Other than that, not really anything. They're trying to find something in. The kill, the Godbait gets the hit off after the body shot from Low Life, so they put themselves in a very useful scenario walking into this set point.
Oh, and you don't even have a Transcendence from Hugo to make up for that. That's a lot of resources gone, and now you have Douglas dropping the self-destruct. But Lubak, though, finding some picks at the very back. He's cut off the resources here of Looking for Org, taking out the Mercy. Searchy's like 1 health. He can't contribute. This is a winnable situation for Breakdown with the Primal Rage messing up the backline. So although they had missed their Mercy at the start of this fight, in overtime, they managed to get point A.
They're going to go directly into point B with the lack of time bank advantage, though. They're only going to get 4 minutes on the clock, so they are already very much in a minute, nearly 2 minutes by the end that is all said and done. At the very least, that they will be down. That said, they're going to they're going to go into this next point. They have some ultimates online. Dragon Blade available, Transcendence not. And Looking for Org, they have to make something happen with this Riptire as the engage coming through for Breakdown, coming to point B.
Wonder if Shinigami's gonna use that. Probably not, because he's dead. Resurrect is there, but is he gonna wait for support ultimates, or is he just gonna rely on the pocket from Windows 98? But burst it down for Godman. The double kill from this Junkrat was such a huge part of their success on their attack, equally as deadly on their defense. But Breakdown, somehow in the back of Lubak's Widowmaker, who's uncontested here at the back, he's picking away, and even, oh, actually, I thought he picked off that Riptire. It still finds Keith as equal trades going in. I'm not sure if Breakdown have enough members, but Lubak is actually tearing up Looking for Org.
They're going to get a couple of kills. They do get the kill on the main tank. It's going to be Low Life walking in, trying to find some value. His self-destruct is going to be committed. Win 98 just Guardian Angels into the Tracer's Pulse Pistols. As the Dragon Blade's committed by Shinigami here, Lemon.
Oh, I'm not sure about this one. He's lost his Mercy, trying to make up for it. At least the Transcendence from Hugo keeps him up, saves his life. Kind of is getting bursted down there. He goes towards the backline of Looking for Org, and now has to retreat back to his tanks as a Primal Rage from Keith. Lubak is just flicking everybody. He's now even contributing to point pressure. And we've talked about Lubak being one of the best Widowmakers in South America, and his performance on Anubis has to solidify that in ink.
Low Life in, they use the Primal Rage as well. This fight continues to go on. They don't get the one clip. Low Life not able to finalize the blow. Lubak will actually just grapple out, so they find themselves in spaces. The kills continue to go through for Breakdown Gaming. Continuing this brawl, Hugo, the Pulse Bomb is going to be committed. They get the kill off, and they're actually starting to slowly stabilize in their favor as they want to try and get some value. The Guardian Angel is there just to keep their support alive as the self-destruct not going to be used. They're going to reset here our Breakdown. But they do pull out a 2-tick advantage towards their next fight, so 1/3 remaining. But Breakdown has really been brawling away, Lemon, trying to find some more, situational advantage for themselves as Lowlife. Trying to find that kill, won't do so, recalls out. And a Pharah coming in for Lubok now.
A lot of switches. Godman trying to figure out if he wants a Reaper or the Junkrat, and Breakdown are still happy, although that was a lot of time wasted. They dragged out almost every ultimate from looking for Org, so they will be going in now this time with a Pharah, and I'm surprised because Lubok is really popping off on the Widow. Now they've trapped looking for Org on this left side, and Dagosim starts things off with the self-destruct.
Self-destruct going to be committed. They're going to try and use the Dragon Blade, but it gets shut down here as Lubok is going to continue to use this Pharah. They get win 98 though, so that's the support down, and that's going to be a fight reset Lemon here as they're trying to take it away at the very end.
Smart disengage and low life. Man, his Tracer's so good. He's been on fire, even on Lijiang Tower. He's sort of unmatched when it comes to, I think it was Lubok who was on the Tracer back on Lijiang. It looks like Shinigami's going to take that role this time.
And yeah, that's I mean, oh boy, that stagger. How much more do we talk about Divas? They're actually going to stagger out to overtime here, so they're not going to be able to even capture the point with time remaining, even if they do cap, and that will be looking for Org, putting themselves so much farther ahead. They give themselves a great opportunity to walk in and take a series lead. Godman now on the Reaper, looking for that tank burst, and they're going to pick up first pick with that damage amp rocket from Pharah.
Oh, this is a good start, and they needed low life there, but the Transcendence puts way too much pressure to go for that Resurrect, because meanwhile, you've got a barrage in the air. Godman not having enough damage at range. Now, there's a lot of people missing here for looking for Org. Even Swarm's out of mech. Breakdown are putting everything into this fight. And losing Hugo is maybe a bit of bad news, but you have Windows 98 who brings out the Valkyrie. Hugo brings back the Lucio, but Mateo just trying to stall this one out with the Primal Rage. They're happy sending this into overtime. They should have a huge advantage here going into the further rounds, but Breakdown are just cleaning things up at this point. And there's not much to say else than Breakdown have gotten point B.
Breakdown still could actually use it just to step on your toes just a slight bit. They're actually turning around Godman with that kill. Shinigami actually not able to do so, and Lubok with the Seismic Slam, not going to hit the point, looking for Org, takes map 3. Breakdown Gaming, this is sort of a highlight of what we kind of expect to see from them. As we see our quick play of the game here from Keith, but Breakdown, they don't ever reset. And then looking for Org to stagger the fight out basically forever and end up just getting the key picks at the end, and unfortunately for them, just unable to really complete the map. Breakdown, they put themselves in a situation they don't really want to be in, as looking for Org have match point now on their side. As we go into our third map, 2-1 here for looking for Org, and it's been a really close series, Lemon, but it's been so close. And they're almost, like, Breakdown just, like, reaches out. They're like, we can taste it, we can take it, and they just don't get it at the very end.
That was such a weird fight because they had the initial picks. They had the early game advantage. I even called, well, everyone's alive. You only have a Primal Rage from the defense to deal with, but that bought enough time for the defense to all get on. Even Godman got a multi-kills as the soldier coming back. And usually when that trickle happens, when you just have 1-on-1s going in, it's usually a pretty one fight. Breakdown had won that decisively, and then they kind of got all mixed up with this, more focusing on the Primal Rage rather than focusing on the reinforcements that were coming in.
Yeah, and the one thing that Breakdown hasn't been doing, and this was brought up on the analyst desk, where the Zenyatta, he's kind of being iced out. Hugo has been unable to really generate Transcendence. He's also not being peeled for a whole lot by Win 98. They're focusing their Mercy play on the tanks and on the DPS. They're not really focusing on keeping the second support alive. So Hugo, often the first one to fall in a lot of these fights. And unfortunately for Breakdown Gaming, that means that Transcendence just isn't up that often. And on top of that, they haven't really been able to go into a fight without being picked off. Like you see them commit Resurrect because the Junkrat gets a kill early on, or there's like the tanks are unable to really go in quite as aggressively as they want to. There's just a lot of situations where Breakdown Gaming, they put themselves at a disadvantage, unnecessarily so, I think. And looking for Org is punishing very, very well. They're doing a great job of coming right back into the fights and making sure that they have positional advantage always. Breakdown, they brawl out, yes, but they're just not able to get that final pick off. They're not able to just get that final contest or prevent that final contest, and looking for Org just turns it around and makes sure that they win these fights. And as tough as it is, it's as cliche, as banal, as just sort of boring it is to say, they just win their fights. They do a great job on the micro level of committing to kills and getting them. So Breakdown, a strength of theirs that we highlighted in previous matches and previous rounds in this set specifically, they're kind of letting just off the gas a little bit. I think also it helps that Looking for Org is turning it on just a little bit more as well.
And Breakdown, I think you highlighted it right, that they just don't finish their fights. Like, it took till overtime to get point A. They move into point B in a snowball situation. Actually, they actually cleared house and didn't have any ultimates. And I felt like the whole 5 minutes that they had to get point B was broken down into 2 extremely long fights, and where they had the advantage, but like you said, ran out of steam. But what I want to point out here, we're going to map 4. This is a sort of match point for Looking for Org, 2-1 up in their series. What's interesting to me is that Encore or Looking for Org lost Rialto versus Nocturnes. That was the only map they're dropped. And to keep in mind, that wasn't a map 4 scenario, as Rialto always is. But is this maybe a weaker map for Looking for Org?
This is the chance, and I think we've highlighted this. Breakdown Gaming and Looking for Org are very close to each other in terms of skill level. They're not so far apart. I mean, South America, we kind of see at the top end, it's so far away, but I think here in this middle range, these teams are so close to each other, and they're all fighting for that second spot, right? Especially in this group. They're fighting for that second spot, and I think, to that point, as one-sided as Temple of News may have looked towards the end, Looking for Org are weaker on Rialto. That's a fact. They played against a weak team and kind of dropped it in, I would say, unexpected fashion. So the fact that these two teams here, Breakdown Gaming and Looking for Org, are really close, and the fact that Looking for Org is kind of weaker on Rialto, man, this could be our 5th map set coming in here, just based on what we know from these teams so far.
And as our map will be started up soon, this is kind of I think a very death ball heavy map also. And the snipers, I think, are what's going to stand out to me first. First of all, Breakdown double sniper, Looking for Org single sniper of Godman. So a lot of pressure is going to be on the Godman to carry that, while Lowlife has been an outstanding tracer, so he's going to have a good job of maybe going on these flanks around that corridor you just saw and pressure the tanks from behind.
They're going to try and do it. And Breakdown Gaming, they're running that Barisa Diva. Not a combo you see too often on this map. We see it a lot in King's Row, of course, with the Junkrat as opposed to the Hanzo. But the double sniper works so well on Rialto, and they're going to just walk up aggressively, Looking for Org. They're trying to take that space away as Mateo just looking to find some damage. Doesn't do so. Gets that shield really weak. So they're going to back up just a little bit, get their cooldowns back, and Looking for Org trying to take this next fight in just a moment. Lemon, this has been a really awkward setup for Breakdown so far.
I'm Looking for Org are trying to find angles around them, and mainly Breakdown had originally set up on the high ground, where most teams actually set up on the low ground to have that L wall to retreat to. Looking for Org have vanquished sometimes the hardest choke in Overwatch, where it's this Rialto point A, which sometimes is so hard to complete most of the time. But Looking for Org, now that they've taken down Keith, who now switches to a Reinhardt, no Resurrect available, I wonder if Breaking Down are really going to engage this point A. Doesn't look like they're set up for it.
Doesn't look like they're set up, but they're going to do it as Godman try to take this flank, trying to find that damage from the high ground. And he will come around with a Storm Arrow Lemon, just trying to burst down these tanks. And they're going to get that first kill.
Well, Dragon Strike right through the right side will just divide the members of Breaking Down. Mainly keeps Keith away from the supports. Lowlife cleaning up Lubak like he's nothing. Chop liver. And Looking for Org have gotten the cleanup they need, and they get point A with ease.
Point A with ease indeed, and that's going to be now they set themselves up for a great time here on second. As much as first has been full hold central, second tends to be the point that gets completed once you get there. So they give themselves a lot of time and an opportunity to perhaps get to point 3. Is Looking for Org changing up a couple of things. Swaran getting that Zarya, and Breakdown going to continue. Lubak switch over the Genji now, so a lot of switches happening here on Breakdown side as Pulse Bomb not going to find anything, and the offense are just going to try and walk in, but self-destruct going to be committed.
And Lubak not feeling that Widow after Lowlife has been harassing him this entire time. Dragon Strike sent from the defense. This is a perfect spot right onto the payload. And the Transcendence from Hugo keeps him topped up while Mateo is still trying to lead. So that Dragon Strike so well placed. It actually didn't stifle that push whatsoever as the response from Breakdown is here. You got Mateo just wilding out on the payload and his teammates are completely gone. And actually from the side of the bridge, there's been some picks coming in. So with only 2 tanks looking for Org, they're gonna, I guess, try to keep pushing this payload.
Breakdown, their tanks are half HP. Well, Swarin is full, but Mateo's really is about half. They get the reset here now. Keith actually walked past Mateo's shield and Earthshadow the entire team, but was unable to stay alive because the sports weren't fair. So they're going to come right back into this next fight. They're going to be down that Earthshatter as Mateo building up towards his. And they want to try and take this fight. Another first pick off. And that's going to be super unfortunate here for Breakdown.
Oh, and this Dragon Strike that could come in. Mateo misses that Earth Shatter, but Godman, does he really need to use it? They've gotten most of the picks that they need to push through to the end of point B. But mainly, there's a ton of ultimates available for the defense as well coming up. Dragon Strike and a Dragon Blade.
Dragon Strike, well, maybe not Dragon Blade now as Lubak gets caught out, gets taken out. So they are actually huge pulse bomb right away. Lowlife somehow finding 2, and then just falls in the backline just to pressure some more. Gets Keith. Gets the assist on Keith, as Godman actually will clean him up. And that's going to be point 2 captured. So as we mentioned, point 2, always a really fast one to take. And Breakdown now find themselves here trying to defend point 3 with 4 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. They have a long road ahead of them.
Lowlife is so hungry. He's like a young Saviobi. He doesn't leave the backline alone as they Dragaton, whatever the combination you want to call it, it gets the 3K they need. They're starting to push to the base of Rialto. I feel like one of the hardest bases to push in through in general. We're looking for Org, get halfway through there. They've exhausted their ultimates, but they have support ultimates to keep them topped up for the upcoming fight. But you got a Dragon Strike to start things off. Keith is looking for the Earth Shatter, but they are looking for Org, are divided as Lubak gets into the backline with a Dragon Strike, wants to wait for the Transcendence to be over. And this could be the blade that Lubak is looking for right here, but Keith with the Earth Shatter starts things off, and actually Breakdown are losing members.
They're going to lose Lubak as well, so the Dragon Blade's not there, and they actually take down the entire fight. A team kill sounds out, and Breakdown, even though they have more advantage in that fight, they lose it out. Mateo using that Earth Shatter Keith as well. This is going to be last fight territory as Lowlife sitting around the corner. The Dragon Blade going to be committed as the shoulder charge is there.
They go right in with it, and at least finds one at the back, make it 2, but meanwhile, looking for Org have completely wiped out his team, and they're going to finish Rialto with quite an impressive time bank, and they made pushing point C Rialto look so easy. It took them forever to get the point A, but the rest of the map was a breeze.
I mean, Rialto, how many times have we seen point A full held? And to see it captured not only fully, but with a remarkable time bank remaining is actually really impressive. So looking for Org, they put themselves on, they put an exclamation point. Again, they're up 2-1 in this series, and Breakdown, they have to turn this right back in their favor. It's going to be, if they don't full capture, they lose this series. They lose a pretty close one, but a loss nonetheless. And so Breakdown, who are fighting for every win here, again, we are in the middle stages of this season. Contenders, every win matters. And towards the middle and end, every win matters even more. So Breakdown, they have to come back here. And Rialto at full health central, man, is going to be a tough one.
And the question here for Breakdown is, what is their response to Lowlife? I don't think looks like Lowlife isn't on the Tracer. He'll be on that Widowmaker. Probably expecting Lubak to be on that too. So no Tracer to worry about. I was going to say, it took them a while to sort of deal with Lowlife, who was a huge threat for him looking for Org, as the offense are probably deciding, I would imagine, a Death Ball, Pharah, Widow. I'm a bit worried about Shinigami going through this L wall here. It's really tight, and you're obviously expecting snipers from the defense. So Shinigami might have a hard time with that Pharah.
Shinigami might, but again, there's a lot of vertical cover. So even though it may seem like, I mean, this is double Sniper Central. We kind of expect to see all the snipers.
Yeah.
Weirdly, even though snipers are so prevalent, Pharah is still playable here. And while Shinigami himself may find trouble, it's not exactly an uncommon pick. And Shinigami has been impressive on the Pharah today. And they are going to be running the double sniper here looking for Orc. So it's going to be a lot of question marks placed on both Lubak and Shinigami as a dive with a Zarya. So Winston Zarya. Okay. Breakdown Gaming, this is gonna be an interesting one. Is Dagostim? Oh boy.
Oh, does he get finished off? Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I wonder if that swap's going to go through, but double sniper here, and Shinigami hasn't even gotten room to leave spawn. Actually, none of Breakdown have had a good opportunity. I actually see Shinigami towards the actual back of the building, and Keith, dive is not as popular here because of the amount of spam that can come in from the defense, but they have at least gotten the payload to some distance, but looking for Org already.
Payload has moved past that first bend as they are trying to find some more space. Shinigami trying to find that angle of attack. He's around the flanks, so he's going to be trying to find a kill or two. And the kills just aren't coming in as the Hanzo's doing so much damage to get the D-Mech off. And Dagostim will go down as a result here. And Lemon, this is going to be another fight that sort of ended before it even starts, as they're unable to really find any sort of pressure as Lubok picks off one towards the end. It's been super awkward of a fight.
They're just getting a hard counter. Like, Shinigami can't do much against double sniper. You got the dives who are getting a forehead shot quite a bit before they can even get a good dive going. As now Windows 98 gets separated from the fair. That was a really nice dive from Swarin. As the payload is still advancing, you can see Breakdown are facing some trouble. Swarin having that self-destruct going against the enemy Diva, as the payload is actually being ignored this entire time from the defense.
Dagostim just walks past, and the defense matrix isn't there, so the kill will come in as Godman picks up two more. And they're going to reset, but still an amusing turn of events. As 2 minutes 15 remaining, they do push the cart quite far to Breakdown Gaming. It's perhaps not the best showing so far. They're being a little bit passive, but they do turn it around and get some cart perspective. Now, looking for Org, though, they have ultimates online. And Breakdown, they're trying to go into it. Infrasight online for Lubok, as he turns out Widowmaker. And self-destruct sent in somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. Doesn't find anything.
He's trying to go after, I guess, Shinigami up into the air as the battle is actually commencing towards the right side, and I think that was Swarin trying to go after Shinigami. Not finding too much success there, but Dragon Strike sent from Godman to clear the entire lane, including the payload. But a Primal Rage from Keith trying to toss up this backline looking for Orc as they're starting to lose numbers. And on top of the barrage from Shinigami, that was enough pressure to push this payload through point A.
Godman still popping off, picks up the kill for himself. Even a fight lost is one that he will take some names for, and this one happens to be Dagostim as he gets the D-Mech, but it does not matter as they do actually capture point A, and now on their way through Streets phase, they put themselves at a bit of a disadvantage time bank-wise. They have less time than Looking for Org did at the same juncture. But again, a point cap is a point cap, so they give themselves another breath, another life, and they will have an opportunity here. But Keith going down early will not be what they're kind of looking for. So they'll take whatever cart they get, but other than that, it's likely to be a reset here from Breakdown.
A bit of a disengage there with Keith, who now goes onto the Reinhardt. Is going to love that Reinhardt to Reinhardt matchup way more, as a surprising Transcendence is invested here from Hugo, as they're going to engage without their main tank, but a Dragon Strike right through the top, I believe, of this building. But unfortunately, this catches him in a not-so-fun situation with another Reinhardt. As you can see, both teams trying to stabilize, but there's a pin out of nowhere. Both Reinhardts think of the same thing, trying to be sneaky, as the Transcendence will give the advantage to Mateo, as Breakdown are just trying to stabilize here, and there's an Earth Shatter available from Mateo, but he's going to win that Reinhardt battle, which opens up Breakdown for a huge slam. Is he going to decide to use it? And unfortunately for Breakdown, they leave before that happens.
Breakdown, they're gonna reset here. That fight was lost pretty much when the when the Ryan went down, when Keith went down, but they're gonna try and re-engage here. So as we get a perspective in on this fight, it's gonna be Looking for Org, looking to try and take this one. They might actually be using that Earthshatter this fight. As the self-destruct into Earthshatter combo, perhaps? They're actually gonna just get the kill. Yeah, they get the kill, they get the Earthshatter. It's the turnaround play. That will be this fight likely just one straight out, as they don't have their main tank, and they're gonna send a self-destruct in the backline. No one's there though. And Lubok shoots him in the back, so they're actually going to find some value, but...
Okay, Shinigami out of nowhere.
Fight,
I don't know. Yeah. And now it's a 2-to-1 trade, and there's not going to be any follow-up from that from Breakdown Gaming, and a lot of interesting ultimates, mainly Dagostim and Shinigami throwing out their ults, and that actually is because they're switching to a Zarya and a Genji.
Yeah, Shinigami now has an opportunity to just go on large flanks, as he only did the one as far. I got the barrage, but the kills were not in time, as they commit with Valkyrie here. And they want to try and find some value in the first kill, though, to the defense.
Oh, did he reflect that? Oh my god, I thought he reflected it. That would have been some spicy plays here from Shinigami, as this push already looks pretty stifled here. But Keith, interesting suicide that happened there, but it's okay. The rest of the team are there for the cleanup, and they just have to deal with low life. And somehow, in the middle of all that action, Lukavi gets that resurrect onto Mateo, as looking for Org. Now that they have a main shield, can start to stabilize. Mateo says, "See ya later, alligator." Shinigami says, "Hello, Dragonblade," possibly. At least he farms that one up, gets back to the team.
They are going to get the kill up. There's a D.Va stuck behind here in no man's land. Will get out, so it is going to be just the play available, as the Dragonblade, as you mentioned, is online. No Transcendence to nullify it, so Shinigami could, quite frankly, get the fight win that they need here, as the blade will be committed. And in the backline, the shoulder charge, not going to find him, as he finds 2, finds 3. Again, he's going to try and get out here, does, as his team just cleans up behind him, Lemon. And though they pick up Hugo at the very tail end, it's going to be a point capture likely for Breakdown, but they've wasted a lot of time. And with only 20 seconds remaining as they cap, it's going to be a long stage 3 here for them.
At least he made the switch to the Genji just in time. That Pharah would have been maybe a huge struggle to go into point C of Rialto. But you already pointed out he really popped off with that Dragon Blade, and now Lubog gets his turn with the Dragon Strike.
The Genji brothers, the first kill comes in, Earthshatter, I think it was blocked, perhaps? Or, no, Keith actually is the one who used it, so they do get it in. And they're going to find a couple kills. Dragon Strike not needed. Dragons need not apply, as they're going to clean up here. And Shinigami already up to 50% on his next Dragon Blade, as Searchy trying to get that Transcendence in time, as Lowlife is going to switch over here, Lemon. This next fight, when it commences, it's going to be a bit of a mess, but I think it's going to be... Breakdown has advantage as they head into this last part of third stage.
Well, you need Searchy's Transcendence to go up quick, and he has it ready for the combination of Breakdown coming in, as Hugo even has his own Transcendence. A lot of sustainability for Breakdown as they launch that combination, and that's the Dragon coming in. Even Keith finishing off with a pin to the other side, but now they need to follow up with objective pressure as they do move on that payload. They're getting here to the end, where now the Transcendence from Hugo will keep the front line topped up along with a Valkyrie. As you can see, Lukavi's going to the other side, actually gets that Resurrect onto Godman, gets punished for it. Questionable decision here from the supports of Looking for Org, as Breakdown look to finish the map at quite a time disadvantage. Dragonblade sent to the back from Shinigami to clean up the rest of this fight. But round 2 complete, both teams finish the map.
Both teams finished, yes, and even though Breakdown don't have time advantage at all, they only have 30 seconds, they're going to go up to a minute, and that means that you're going to get an extra minute here on the offensive side. 3 minutes 27 for Looking for Org, as they both add some time to the clock. Breakdown, though, they do not, they don't have as quick a time bank towards the end. They're a lot cleaner. Keith actually nullifies the Earth Shatter by shoulder charging Mateo away. And then Lubok, obviously, or Shinigami, obviously, with the Dragon Blade to clean up at the very end, though not needed. They will cap. They will cap in not nearly in overtime. They do cap with time remaining, even though as Escort is the game type, they will actually have had a chance so long as they completed. And this is still a map where Breakdown could turn it around.
Quite a time disadvantage, though. There's 2 minutes that separates these two teams. It's a few more fights that you can squeeze in for Looking for Org. So naturally, Breakdown will be the first to attack, and we'll see what they'll be running. And Shinigami on that Pharah to start. It was a slower push than they would have liked, but they made the Pharah work on point A.
They made it work, and they're going to go back to it. Shinigami has been on fire all day long, across a bunch of maps. Has looked pretty good, too. So I don't see why you wouldn't run it. And again, Looking for Org, look what they're running. They're running the Junkrat. Pharah not necessarily going to be pressured out. There's no Widowmaker on the other side. So Shinigami, obviously a little bit more advantage here, though the tanks will be taking a little bit more of a beating by Looking for Org.
You're not running an Orisa, so you have Mateo that can't really do much until the fight gets a little closer. They already get pushed off, and that's a better defensive position for them to take, especially with a Reinhardt. And this Junkrat Hanzo combination is what they ran on King's Row, and what worked so well for them there is Shinigami finds a flank angle, trying to clean up the supports, but there's the pocket coming in from Lukavi just in time. But this maybe allows Breakdown to push on through while the supports from the defense are distracted.
There, Shinigami going to concussive blast in over the top, find the kill onto the Hanzo. That is going to be another reset. Godman just going to take that last one, so they are going to push forward. Godman finally goes down. A great direct rocket in Shinigami, though he doesn't find the early kill on the supports, which made it a little bit cleaner. Just, you know, turns it back in his favor, and they look like they might actually be able to just cap point A if the tanks don't get back in time. Overtime now to affect Lemon, and we are onto this fight. Searchy going down. That's going to nullify it. The Win 98 gets picked off early, and Breakdown. Now this is a super dangerous position for them to be in.
Oh, looking for Org. Want to engage now that that Mercy is out, and with 2 kills from Lubak, though, actually, that was just the Rip Tire. Finding that one out due to the Infrasight now activated as looking for Org. Still have their main tank. The shield is so low, though, and they have a Dragon Strike from Lowlife available, who he might just be coming out of spawn, but so much chaos onto this payload, and they manage to stop Breakdown from getting point A.
Breakdown not able to get that first point capture, but they do push it to that final point. So 3.5 minutes with which to hold. Again, this is not necessarily undoable. How many times have we said teams get caught out all the time with more time remaining on this point A? That cart, though, man, is it in an awkward position. When you consider how quickly Looking for Org went through the map, never mind point A, just the map entirely, Breakdown have their work cut out for them. And again, this is 3 minutes and 27 to tie up the series. Otherwise, they end with a loss and put themselves at a severe disadvantage. They have to win out here.
Looking for Org, though, have 3.5 minutes to close out the series 3-1. I'll flip that story on you, and that'll, I mean, comfortably solidify them in second place with the 3-0. Bit of a different map count than BGH, but you're still happy with the 3-0 start in the standings halfway through Contenders season. But looking for Org, they have Lowlife on this Tracer, and I've talked about his performance and just how crazy he was, especially on the attack Rialto, where there's some flank positions. He usually went around the left side and was harassing them, but is he not worried about Shinigami on that Pharah, which will be the main, I think, threat for Lowlife on the other side?
It's gonna be a situation here. Breakdown. They have time. They have the ability. Now, can they do it? It's gonna be the defense setting up here as the cart moves forward. Lowlife around the back, on the flank, and it's gonna be a really passive play. Shinigami concussive knocks Mateo off the map, and this could be the opening that Breakdown is looking for on the defense.
And Lubak knows exactly where Lowlife is going, spots him, wants to keep an eye on him, but meanwhile, looking for Org have not gotten any progress in terms of the pressure. Breakdown playing much forward, and Shinigami taking some shots here from all angles. It's actually the Tracer tickling him from that high ground. Lowlife disengaging, but he's already done a good job of taking the attention away of Lubak, taking the attention away from Shinigami, but looking for Org now need to react with the DPS being absent here from Breakdown.
The DPS, yeah, looking for Orc. They have an opportunity. The first kill goes in. Godman going down, so they do have the play. But Sergi with those orbs of discord, orbs of destruction actually, takes out the Pharah in the air. And though looking for Orc lose that fight, it's still an impressive kill nonetheless. As Dagostim picks up a 3K for his troubles, a slow, messy fight, but Breakdown Gaming come out on top.
And there's a big difference between Dagostim and Swarin in terms of Graviton buildup. Like, Breakdown already have theirs, and there's 2 minutes left. You imagine that would put them in a huge advantage coming into the fight with the combination with the barrage that could be coming in. As looking for Org, though, will be at least having the Dragon Strike, Pulse Bomb. You got the barrage from Shinigami. Doesn't land on Pulse Bomb as you would have wanted, but you can see Lowlife trying to join the fight a lot more. And the Graviton here is launched, this time from Dagostim. And the Valkyrie is invested. Shinigami's barrage was not combined with it, so not as much of a follow-up, but they still do get looking for Org to reset.
Looking for Org do reset here, and they don't really have what I would call a winning, like an immediate win coming up next. They do have the Dragon Strike combination coming soon, but will they be able to really pressure it out in time? The Concussive Blast knocks him off the map yet again, no! And the Earth Shatter's there too!
What a combination. The Boop Shatter. I bet our host Boop will love that one, but seems like the fights are over before they really start. You think the action's about to start, but then you got Mateo getting booped off the map.
I mean, when you have a Concussive Blast, it's so strong. And you hit them just properly, especially in Rialto with a lot of like canals in the map.
Well, Dragon Strike, I mean, Godman's got the Dragon Strike, they got an Earth Shatter. This could be a huge wipe situation here for Breakdown. 10% off the Graviton. This is the fight that looking for Orc need to win as Transcendence is from both sides. Now they're happy that's out of the picture because an Earth Shatter Graviton double investment with the Dragon Strike. They get the wipe they need, but after like 3 minutes of playing, they only have 30 seconds, but can Breakdown get to that yellow box of victory to stall this one out one last time?
Breakdown have one opportunity here. They don't have any ultimates to stop them. Looking for burnt everything. That was a misplay of massive proportions. They will touch. They get there with a sound barrier. The Earth Shatter's there, but it kills one. Will they be able to hold it out in time? Low Life picks up another kill. The Resurrect is coming back, Lemon. Can this fight just end? Who's coming out on top?
It's hard to even say. The supports are running wild, trying to heal everybody on this one. The Reinhardts are unhappy with each other, hammering each other like bad roommates, and Keith wins that one out surprisingly through the pin of Mateo, and overtime dwindles away, and Breakdown have gotten the upper hand. LaFon, we're going to a game 5.
How many times have we said it? How many times have we called the matches are just going to end in a 3-1, in a 4-0. We get to see a map number 5, Breakdown Gaming looking for Org. We called it at the start. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be fun. And as we see Low Life just popping off the pulse bomb, we get to a map 5. This has been such a fun match, Lemon. I am so excited.
That was
what a series.
That was a blind pulse bomb. Did you see how he one-clipped the ground and just threw the pulse bomb like a hat? Just like a graduation hat? He just threw it into the air and it somehow finds Shinigami. That was just insane. Breakdown were not meant to win that. They lost like the fight. You would think the fight to get point A. And then you got Hugo switching to the Lucio, which allowed them to get back to the point even faster. And when Keith won that Reinhardt engagement, once the Valkyries were set to the ground, wow, that fight just could have gone either way. I can't believe we're going to a game 5 here.
And just, oh man, I what do you say? What do you say? It's been just a massive showing from both these teams. It's been absolutely delightful. But Lemon, I think we're going to take a quick break here. And before you, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. It's been so close, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to head into map 5 as soon as it's available, and we'll be right back.
Live 17 floors up, and when it rains I can feel those drops in my window pane. Lets me know that I'm still here. But when the sun comes out I will go outside. When it breaks through clouds I will give a smile. Lets me know that I'm still here. Sometimes I want to run away to find good times again.
Welcome back, everybody. Contenders South America, the hottest match you're going to see today. Game 5, Breakdown versus Looking for Org. And it's second place versus third place team. It's game 5, everything on the line. Breakdown were not even supposed to win Rialto, but they did. And here we are, LaFon.
I mean, what can we say? Like, I'm so excited to see what our analysts talk about after this match, because it has been a roller coaster. It's been just excitement all around. We start off on Lijiang Tower. It's a really back and forth map. 100 to 0, 100 to 45, and then you go to 199. It's so close. And then you come in It's just second map, it goes back. They take third map. So does Looking Forward takes third map. We go to Rialto. They steamroll through all 3 points. They get 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes going into the last fight, and then they hold out on first. So that's just, hey, actually, that reminds me. We still get to see a first point hold on Rialto.
Oh, yeah, we did.
The streak continues.
we jinxed it. There's always someone who can't get through point A.
Yeah.
And this time it was looking for Orc. But Ilios will be our final deciding map between these two teams, LaFon. When we saw Lijiang, Breakdown even barely won that one. It was 2-1, and off of the map 2 win, map 3 wins.
I mean, it's so tough to say, like, where the flipping point in this map, in this set has been. I guess technically we haven't found it yet, right? Because map 5 is here. So, Ilios, it's going to be like, I mean, we went back to Lijiang Tower, which is our first map, and it was a control map, obviously. So coming to Ilios, it's not unexpected as to what we kind of might hope to see. We're going to probably see a little bit of dive. But here's the thing. Ilios is so vastly different from Lijiang Tower and how you play it that I'm kind of expecting to see here in our tiebreaker map a bit of a weird composition. As we think about Ruins, it's such a Widow-heavy map. You think about, Lighthouse and, of course, Well. Everyone's favorite Well. The boops, the environmental kills. There's so much there that you could try to take advantage of. So I might expect to see a little bit more Lucio that we kind of see so far. We've seen a lot of goats where Lucio's played, but you haven't seen him played on his own too much, except at the very end of Rialto. But then again, you're trying to get back to point really quickly. So,
right,
Ilios, it's just
For Ilios, I almost favor Breakdown because of how good Shinigami was on the Pharah. Almost every Ilios map is Pharah friendly, minus Ruins, where in the double sniper, it's still Lubak is one of the star Widowmakers we've been talking about, and Lowlife has been keeping up. But I also want to look at Lowlife, the amount of point pressure he can pull with that Tracer. And Godman, a bit worried if it's going to be a fair matchup, what he can do. But unlucky, no fair is here because we're going to Ruins, where it's going to be double snipers galore, or possibly something else.
I mean, double snipers is just you may not expect the things you run on Ilios are Widowmaker. You see Hanzo sometimes. You see Tracer. Actually, you see Pharah, as you mentioned, on the other 2 points, not on this one. But as Ruins unlocks, it's going to be Breakdown Gaming versus Looking for Org. Map number 5, Lemon here, and this is going to be the final exclamation point on a great series so far. As Breakdown going to run the Widow Tracer into Looking for Org's double sniper.
And a difference in tanks. Mateo's running the Orisa, at least the speed boost from Lukavi at the start, who actually goes back and switches both Mercies, or both Lucios switch back to the Mercies. So standoff, but Lowlife already finding a pick onto Shinigami, the main tank of Breakdown already missing. So although the Orisa pick might have been a slow start on this defense that they're about to play, it'll look much better.
Lubak has been more than willing to take this Widow 1v1, and I'm glad he has, because it's been super exciting. It's been just headshots galore, and one thing we've talked about in South America and in, of course, Contenders China, which Broadcast.gg also covers, Searchy finding out that final blow is that, and just to go back to my final point as they get that last blow, is that Widowmaker fights have been kind of less expected. You kind of see them switch off and try to counter other ways, but Breakdown Gaming, they want to go in for this dive here, Lemon, and they're going to go really aggressively.
Yes, and now Shinigami onto the Genji. He's going to be farming up that blade, but Lowlife has been finding a target range here, almost finishing off Shinigami as I was hyping him up. And Lowlife is such a presence on this map, and there's the finish up that he needed. Looking for Org. Now, I mean, they have the picks. They just have to prevent the flip from going in for Breakdown, as they'll win their second fight, possibly.
That shot from Blueblock was nuts, dude. In close, Flixton, Lowlife gets the headshot off entirely, stays alive on top of it all. He's been absolutely popping off here as Win98, though, gonna fall into the Dragon Strike, and that's gonna be a fight ended. So Lubak, your heroics are appreciated, but not by your team, as it's gonna be a reset here. So 60% on the control meter. Looking for Org are doing a great job of sort of icing this one out, and they're gonna make Breakdown Gaming. They switch off a little bit. They've got the Dragon Blade coming online shortly, but the Transcendence will be there to return the favor.
And maybe a Transcendence from Hugo to keep him up in the same way. But this will be a tough one. Self-destruct also from Swarin could just ward off this Dragon Blade completely. As 2 support ultimates online for looking for Org. They have the sustainability, but the Shinigami has to be careful not to get picked off from the snipers of the other side. As you can see, looking for Org have given up a ton of space. A nice halt to bring the tanks right together into the arrows of Godman. As a self-destruct breaks through the shield, at least gets rid of the supercharger, but a supercharged Shinigami gets stopped right in his tracks. This was the ultimate breakdown needed to take back the point. 98-99. That is it for looking for Org as a last primal rage from Keith will just solidify the end of breakdown here.
Breakdown not able to really get any further contest. Lubak on the Doomfist not finding value, and though the supports are here to contest, it will not be for long, and that will be it. Hugo going down, the last one left alive. As Dagostib actually continues to stall out, but it's nothing but a formality. The DMAC will happen, the kill is there too. Overtime ticks away, and round 1 goes to looking for Org.
And that's just showing you the power of double sniper. Godman and Lowlife working so well together. Even the halts of looking for Org that just kept grouping up everybody. I had a question mark on Orisa of what potential she can have against a dive. And the halts prove that it's just making target practice so much easier for the snipers.
Yeah, I mean, the Ruins is perhaps possibly the one that we kind of expected Breakdown Gaming to be a little bit better on. They ran Double Sniper a little bit more aggressively, but Shinigami has played the Pharah a lot and now is going to be playing Brigitte. So this is going to be a round 2. And looking for Org have match point. They actually have match stage, in fact. As Breakdown going to switch it all up. They're going to switch to Pharah Mercy and then some tank compositions. Looking for Org, continuing to run dive with the Pharah Hanzo. And this is Lighthouse.
They're not gonna have fun. You got Shinigami on the Brigitte, and you got Deathball from Breakdown, so they're gonna be playing towards the point, looking for Org. It's gonna be so hard for them to dive this.
It's gonna be hard for them to dive this, but they do have the long-range pressure. Again, they have the Pharah, they have the Hanzo, they can just spam them away. The question is, can they get to point to contest it all? And so far, it looks like the answer is no. As the tanks slowly try to walk in, point will be captured by Breakdown. And this fight hasn't actually even started yet.
And the cap goes in for Breakdown at least, so they can start building that percentage while looking for Org. Just keep trying to battle, keep trying to find an angle to dive in. And it doesn't look like they're finding much success besides breaking down the shield the key, so this could be the go side for them to now contest into this one. It's rotations in and out of the point, trying to be a nuisance. Mateo comes in for his turn, and a lot of ultimates being earned here. Mainly Godman has been landing his arrows and now has a Dragon Strike. And with this dive, they've managed to completely clear house of this Death Ball.
One thing looking for Org has done a great job of, and I want to highlight the tanks specifically, is that Mateo and Swarin have done a great job of zoning out the point. They force Keith to make a decision, they force Dagostib to make a decision, and Shinigami, of course, just a great job of like forcing them to make the rotations go around, and then a concussive blast to start it all off from Lowlife as he comes in and forces Keith back into the zone as the barrage is there, but kills from Lowlife to start off this point in looking for Org's favor.
Lowlife survives that. Lubak was above him. I'm not sure why he wasn't stopped. The fight is already over. At least it could have been a 2-to-1 trade. And another interesting point here is that Godman is not playing Pharah. Yeah, you got your names right. It's Lowlife who's taking the Pharah role when it's usually Godman.
On Breakdown side, though, they're going to switch stuff up. Shinigami going over to the Forest. They're going to switch right down to basically a mirror comp, a Widow instead of a Hanzo. But other than that, it's identical. And the fight commences here, searching on point. Self-destruct going to be coming into the back line. Looking for Org, want to win this one out here.
And they're going to have Transcendence on point too, so if looking for Org are not in a good scenario, they can fall back to the point, get that Transcendence. They lose Lowlife, that would be a scenario for a Dragon Strike Godman to come in as a Primal Rage will maybe try and get some environmental kills here. He corners this Winston along with this Lucio, already getting one. Mateo is on fire, even diving into the sky to deal with the Pharah. And you got Godman's Dragon Strike aiding in this battle and the vanquish of the point. 75% for looking for Org, and this is last fight territory for Breakdown.
Win 98. Oh no, Lowlife has switched over. They don't have the fire anymore. It's the Widowmaker Hanzo comp. And Lowlife will snipe Win 98 out of the air. So 90%, and now Breakdown are sweating. Can they even touch? Never mind win. This is it. This is all it's down for. Breakdown, their hopes and dreams are on the line. This is last fight on this point.
and they dive right into the point, knowing looking for Org are not there. This could be their chance to just pressure out the supports, but 2 tanks already gone for Breakdown and their Mercy. This looks so good for their push towards the point. Looking for Org are there for the cleanup, and looking for Org, it looked a little shaky on Rialto, but they finish this game 5 convincingly with the 2-0.
And how much more can you ask, man? That is some Overwatch right there. Low Life coming in with the Pharah, but that is map 5 done. That is Breakdown done. I'm looking for Org take the victory. 3-2 Lemon Kiwi. Oh, that was a match.
It's, oh my god, I thought Breakdown were gonna make the comeback. You know, they won Rialto, looked so good on them. But then we talked about the start of Lighthouse, Dive versus Deathball. They had at least one take with it. But when you got like you got the Brigida, you got the Deathball, they played towards a point, they played that well. And it didn't end up so well for Breakdown, as this will solidify looking for Org in second place. And Breakdown, I mean, they're still in the playoff spot, but this is more maybe about the seeding coming into playoffs.
I mean, for them, it's really tough, right? They put themselves in an awkward position. They have to win out, but they've already played the hardest teams in their group, right? We talk about what they're welcome. Breakdown, they're a team that was an open division team who wanted to play because it was $10 prizing. They come through trials. They take their first match against none other than BGH, Brazil Gaming House, the Titans of South American Overwatch. So that's a welcome present. They get their second match. It's going to be a stomp. Of course, they take that one cleanly, and they come in against looking for Org, who we all know how strong they are and how they're going to be cementing their position here in second. But Breakdown, they take it all the way to a map 5, something that we haven't seen a whole lot of here in South America. So Breakdown, you're upset with the loss. Don't get me wrong. It's not the best, but you played your hearts out, and you did a great job while you were at it. So Breakdown, no need to hang your heads. You just go into the next match and take a victory.
I mean, there is some cracks in the armor for looking for Org. The Rialto, the map they lost against Breakdown, was also a map they lost to Nocturnes. So I'd like to see looking for Org practice this new map. Of course, it is a new map. Some teams adapt and learn faster than others. But still, the Game 5 was awesome to cast. And I bet our awesome desk have a lot to say about it. Let's start to Boop Ham and Friends for the wrap-up.
Wow, your voices, I think, represent exactly how all of us feel after that game. What an epic battle between these two teams. It was amazing to watch, and in the end, Breakdown couldn't finish it off, had an amazing comeback on Rialto, and then got stomped on Ilios. So there's a lot to unpack here. We're going to quickly go back to Anubis, which looking for Org won pretty strongly. I'm just going to go ahead and summarize for everybody what that was about based on what our conversations. It was team comp oriented and support oriented. Also, the DPS for Breakdown had a really hard time deciding what characters to play. And on the characters they were playing, they weren't being very effective. Looking for Org finally got their picks on the support players that they needed, and we're a lot smarter on how those picks came down, and that is the story of Anubis. But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the last two games, which is Rialto and then Ilios. And so, Panda, Rialto looked like it was in the bag for looking for Org, especially after their first push. Over 3 minutes left in the time bank. You know, they had a great push. What brought them there?
I think it definitely brought to their strengths of their DPS fronts as well. They were pretty strong at picking out point A, point B, and point C on what they really needed to bring to the table, if you will. Different picks are going to get you in certain strengths as well. And the more important part about it all was their defense looked so strong for such a long time as well. I mean, especially on their opening as well, pulling out the Orisa, just playing around the walls very comfortably, shutting down flanks. I mean, Rialto is so scary as far as how many buildings you can play around, but when you just have, I can only assume, communication around all those buildings and understanding where the attacking team's coming from, it just makes it that much easier.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of things, Breakdown took 3 overtimes to get took 2 overtimes to get to the end. So point A was an overtime, point B, and then they walked into point C. Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot harder for them, but then they turned it around, Ham, and they were able to hold looking for Org at the bridge for 3 minutes. They even got wiped and then came back. So I know you were talking about a lot of that had to do with Keith.
Yeah, so Keith has kind of, anybody just now tuning in, Keith is actually the only player with any kind of other like team experience on any other team besides Breakdown Gaming among their players. So, and he fills that role of main tank. So he's going to be in charge of a lot of these initiations, where and when the team decide to try to hold or push forward to take space. So a lot of the fight tempo is going to be dictated about how where he's going to be positioning himself. And Keith, I think I could like feel it. I'm a Ryan main too, and he was like mad. Mad and playing out of his mind, and we really needed to see him and Dagostim really step up, and those two were kind of the ones to hold that defense that the DPS were able to anchor around those tanks. And you finally started to see once again, the synergy from Breakdown that's characterized them throughout Contenders so far come into play. Lubbock getting a lot of great shots on that Hanzo, Shinigami as well, landing a couple of those rockets, and if nothing else, keeping Lowlife's Tracer in check. That was one of the things that was really, really hurting Breakdown that entire first round defense, was the fact that they were just letting that Tracer roam free, 1v3ing the backline. And here's the thing. Okay, so maybe you're not going to be able to get the kill onto the Tracer by yourself as like a single diva, but just the fact that you're present there means that the team is aware that the Tracer's on notice. If you're going to stay here a little bit longer, there's about to be some DPS dropped on your head. She's going to get out. But what you can't do, which is what was happening, was just giving her all the space and time. Even a ham Tornado Tracer would eventually probably find a kill onto Hugo the Zen, who's dying constantly. Yeah. And that was kind of the entire story of that first Breakdown defense. Fast forward into their incredible overtime hold, though. We saw that Shinigami was able to throw in some rockets just to make sure that, hey, we're watching the back line, right? Dagostim and Keith holding that strong front line.
Got a few boop kills.
Exactly. 2 boop kills. Hey, golden day for Faras everywhere. And yeah, playing with confidence, once again, playing to their strengths.
Exactly. And so we're not done talking about Rialto just yet, Panda, because you were very frustrated by the point of attack that Looking for Org was taking in their second push, offensive push. They kept taking the same bridge. What would you have done differently?
Honestly, I would have just reset the entire team composition altogether. I mean, at the point where you're facing a Pharah and you're just trying to come out there continuously with a Reinhardt, why? There's no point. They're hanging out on the high ground and they're just baiting you in to come across that bridge, so that way you could just take a unwarranted swim in the lakes of Rialto, and that's not exactly what you want to do for a Reinhardt as well. You have
Armor's too heavy, you're gonna sink.
Exactly, right? Like, thank you. You have to let go of the hammer sometimes, for the love of God. But there comes a moment in time as well where you have to not only just play the mirror compositions, but you have to play against their team compositions as well, right? So I know that it's a little bit more than just saying that, but I mean, Winston, D.Va, you have to get over there to the high ground so that way the pressure is away from the bridge and your Zenyatta can slowly move his way through the little choke pointing areas, because when you're facing just a strong Pharah, such as Breakdowns was playing on their defense, it's just you're never gonna make it across that bridge, especially when you're all just hanging out behind a shield. Someone's gonna go in there eventually. It just so happens that this was the match where we got to see the pinballing Reinhardt just take a few too many dunks.
And that many dunks caused a loss on Rialto, tying it up 2-2 for Breakdown, winning that map. And then we went to Ilios, and I think all of our hearts were in one place, but the result went somewhere else. And Ham, you had a really good point where you said, I can finally see for the first time the youth in Breakdown.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about Breakdown strengths so far, as in, their unlikely story coming out from Open Div, the $10, and so on and so forth. But now, this is where you're really going to be tested. Well, you could say that they already were put through the grinder coming up against BGH, but it was their first match against, the Titans, the powerhouse of South America, so nobody was expecting them to win. But now, testing your mettle against a potentially winnable matchup in Looking for Org. This is also a very strong team, but Breakdown really showed what they got. But when it came down to, the 13th hour, like, the 366th day on Dear Diary, 366th day on Ilios, we were still running Genji Widow into anti-dive. Like, life is really hard right now. I just died again. Oh, wow, that one hurt even more than the last.
Maybe we should dive the Orisa one more time.
Yeah, maybe we should dive the Orisa. I think, just composition-wise, we see that there's a lot of flexibility, particularly among the two DPS coming in from Breakdown, that Shinigami and, I'm blanking. Lubbock. Shinigami and Lubbock, oftentimes swap. They both seem very comfortable on either sniper. You see the Genji being passed back and forth between the two of them, as well as the Pharah. But that's where it really started to hurt them. Shinigami is definitely their dedicated Brigitte player. So anytime they want to run a composition with Brigitte, for better or worse, we do see Lubbock kind of put in that fill role. But when it's down to the last minutes, and it's like we have to win this last fight. We have to be playing our best heroes. You have Lubbock on the Pharah playing the entire rounds that you're losing. Gets the barrage. Shinigami has rally. You're like, screw it. We're ditching that. 100% clothing change, but then that means you're resetting all of your ultimate charge back down to 0 simply because you had already locked, Lubbock into that Pharah pick, which is not his best hero, because you thought that the team composition that you could theoretically bring, win the fight against what Looking for Org was bringing. It doesn't work out, and then you're back at the absolute square zero. And I think that's kind of, if you had potentially, if the team had looked forward a little bit further, they would have been able to kind of maybe foresee that, maybe we'll give up like a couple first fights. The break's not really worth it. But as long as we're playing what we know we're good at, we can still win.
Not even square one, all the way back
all the way to square zero.
All the way back.
It's honestly not a square, it's a circle. But I think the meeting still comes through.
And so, Pana, I'm actually going to throw you the same question because it's something that I'm really interested about. Two things. So this is a double-decker here.
Right.
Number one, did the youth show? And I believe we can agree on that, but I kind of want to go into deeper as to how. And then at number two, do we have a new rivalry on our hands? Because top 2 trials, they went to 5 now, and all I want to do is see them go again. So,
Yeah.
do you want to start, pipping this one up?
I don't think that, unfortunately, I don't think that the rivalry will be between Looking for Org and Breakdown Gaming at this point as well. I think Looking for Org just kind of took that and ran with it as well, and Breakdown Gaming taking a turn for the Breakdown course. It's a little unfortunate to say that their youth did show, for sure. I mean, when you get to that map 5, Boop, we were talking about in our discussions during the matchup itself, that it's you exhaust all of that energy that everybody's been giving you in South America, and you get to map 5, and then you start playing Brigitte, and you put your non-projectile DPS player on Pharah, and then you start sitting there and you really start questioning why. I mean, Widowmaker really would have worked there, Ham. It would have been perfectly fine, in my opinion. It would have been even better. But at some points in time, when you're just so fatigued after a long day of matches, scrims, warming up, so on and so forth, it can become very tiring as well. It can be overhauling as well for your in-game leader, your shot callers even, those that track the ultimates to kind of fall back on a little bit as well. And the one I'm looking at mostly is Keith, in fact. Keith came to life on Rialto for me personally, but he came up ever so short on Ilios, unfortunately. And it's really hard to put yourself in those shoes, but when you've been playing that long, and especially on main tank, it is very tiring. It is very fatiguing, and you have to be able to push yourself to that next level, get that little cup of coffee, drink a little bit more tea, do whatever you got to do, push yourself through map 5, and see the win as well. Because at this point, with Looking for Org going up, they're up 3-0 now in their group as well. So to accentuate off of my first point, I think the one that we're going to be looking for here, Boop, is actually going to be Brazil Gaming House and Looking for Org. I want to see that matchup.
Which is going to be their last game of the regular season. So that could potentially be a battle for the number 1 seed. And 3 and 4, there's a whole conglomerate of teams within that group of 2 lost teams that, it's anyone's a game right now. And those map differentials, I think, are going to come in handy. But for all of the things that happened today, one thing is Breakdown should not feel bad about their performance, specifically about the fact that they came back from Rialto. And that's something that we assume that youth would not let you do, but they overcame that and brought them to Ilios. They just didn't have quite enough in the tank to finish it out. But I am so looking forward to what this team can do tomorrow, and even more so for even next year, because I think this is going to be a team to watch as they grow into working with each other and into South American contenders. That is it for Group A for the next 2 South American Contenders days. On a Sunday, we're going to see Group B again. We're actually going to start off with a hype match, which is going to be between potentially the top 2 seeds, which is going to be Isurus versus Black Dragons. Black Dragons did take a game off of Pain, so they're the ones in the driver's seat. Predators and Pain will be after that, and then 2 Kill Hephaestus, which I actually think could be a really great game as well. This whole team will be back with For That, Ham and I, Lemon and LaFon, and our wonderful producer, Mushu. So that's what's on tap for next week. And before I go, I got to do a little bit of a plug for BGG. We are a community of casters, producers, on-air personalities, and players, everyone that is involved in esports production, and we are here for support. Please go to our Twitter at Broadcast.gg, spelled out. You can join our Discord, introduce yourself, get to know us. We're all going to be there. We love giving advice, and a lot of people are growing their skills there as well. And please reach out if you have any questions. But for us today, on this Thursday, after that amazing set of matches, we're all going to take a break because I know you need one too. So we will see you on Sunday.
Here's my theory. Whoever made that noise made it intentionally. So we would hear it and find him.